I look back at Call to the Heart when we would pop up in the top 10
Yeah.
all the time. James Christian became unbearable
Okay.
to me.
I,
It's
I,
like Angel using the Angel name right now. It's not Angel. It's
right.
there's a band out there called Angel, but it is not Angel. And I said, I don't care, just I'm going back. And I get hijacked on that flight. It was the famous Delta flight 4. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think that James is I said you just I don't find you in a mud puddle and then put you on a record and then the next record you planning on writing everything and doing everything. That's not how it works.
Was there a big problem, like when David was told that he wasn't moving forward with you?
Yeah, not a big problem. I think it was sure wasn't a fun thing to do or go through.
Sure.
I had no animosity, no it was more and Gene's a big guy. He made the decision. Gene is not afraid. If he makes a decision, he's not afraid I made that decision.
Right.
Did I fight him on it? No.
Right. Okay.
First time I've ever said that in an interview. And
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you doing? Like hypnotizing me to tell the truth on I know this little thing that Doc put out
Yep.
sold out in a day or something.
Yes.
Same. And I did my first album 13 years before you were born.
Yeah.
And after 92, because of all the changes in the music and the heartbreak of how things were going at the end of that, I was lost, but now I'm found.
The hair metal guru from Warren to Crew. The hair metal guru. Never forget Charlie too.
Hey, today I'm so honored to welcome Greg Giuffria. Greg formed the band Angel, who put out 6 albums from 75 to 81. He had some great success with the band House of Lords in the late 80s and early 90s. And finally, he was the creative force behind his namesake band Jaffria, who put out 2 amazing albums in 1984 and 86. And FNA Records just released finally the 3rd album, the Unreleased Remastered demos, available now. And oh, I forgot to say, he's a successful businessman and entrepreneur. Greg Giuffria, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Oh man, I'm such a huge fan, so it's an honor. And I want to start with this. What made now the right time to release these songs, to put these out on FNA?
Well, actually, it was, I call him Doc Smiley.
Yep, me too.
And he contacted me and asked, did I want to be real clear on it. It's the demos that were written in between a segment of time
Okay.
between uh, Jaffria and House of Lords.
Yes.
And um, so not all the songs, I guess if I'd have done a formal recording, gone back in, re-recorded them, or picked out different songs or kept writing,
Yeah.
I don't know that would have been coming out as a formal, that would be what the formal Jaffria 3rd record would be.
Right.
So this is more of a peek behind the scenes of what I do in writing
Okay.
songs, because I don't care. Maybe the Beatles could do it because they were who they were. So
Yeah.
any whistle melody, 4 bars or whatever was so incredible
Yeah.
that it stood on its own. I take a deductive approach to it. I might write 20 songs and 3 of them come out of that. And out of that 3, 2 might be Frankensteins that were parts and pieces of another one. And, it can work like that.
Sure.
And then there's songs that you write that kind of come in a moment. Call to the Heart was written in in a moment,
Okay.
just practically straight through.
Right.
The music was written straight through,
Sure.
just one of those deals. I have brand new stuff that I'm working on. A couple of those were written just in the zone, as I say. You're sitting down there, and it's funny. On one song I'll talk about later in the interview, um, my son walked in the room, and on this particular song, it's got orchestra and it's a massive production.
Yeah.
And there's a solo at the end, and he said, and I liked the solo, and he said, "Why don't you do one and at the speed and how you play and make it, you know?" I said, "Well, I hate doing over the top things, but you get these other, there's a couple other keyboard players, some of the guys that go to Juilliard,
Okay.
and, they play their scales for their solos. I'm not going to name who it is, but
Sure.
they,
Sure.
they do real fast and kind of scales you learn when you're playing." And so I said, "Yeah, sure, doing." So I got up the next morning, 7 o'clock, walked in, turned the thing on, made the solo in one pass,
Okay.
saved it, left the room. A few days later, listened to it. I went, "Wow, that works. That's good." But
Yeah.
I was in the zone and asleep, I guess. I had to learn my own solo. I had to go back and
Right.
work it out because I played it without thinking,
Right.
without improvise totally.
Right.
It was funny.
Well, like when I listen to this, it like I'm like, are these really just demos? Because it
Yeah,
sounds great.
it's a sickness that some musicians get when they go into the studio and they can't just do a sloppy demo, I
Right.
guess. And plus, Andy Johns was doing most of this stuff,
Yeah.
did most of it. And neither one of us, or he's a perfectionist, and I am too. And so to record it, and when we do it, it turns out being something that's not bad.
Sure. Yeah.
Because ended up using some of it. Matter of fact, to jump around a little bit, um, House of Lords, I wanted to do Can't Find My Way Home. Actually, I've always wanted to do that song in
Right.
some form,
Right.
some band or something. It wouldn't have been appropriate with Angel,
Yeah.
or, work there. And Jaffria, it was just coming off of Angel,
Yeah.
and touring and doing that whole world. And I was exhausted and a different person. And
Yeah.
then the House of Lords thing seemed the right time to do it.
Right.
So when I put the arrangement together on the thing and had the idea to do it, we did it in a little rehearsal room. Matter of fact, the microphone was taped to the acoustic guitar in an odd sort of way that you wouldn't do.
Right.
And when we got into the studio, we were at A&M Studios, and I'd recorded that on a Kai MG14, which is this little Japanese little mixer that had
Right.
built-in tape,
Sure.
and recorded it on that. And we all said, "Wow, that sounds great." We changed the vocals, and we just thought sounded good. Went into the studio at A&M, which was 1,500, 2,000 a day, whatever,
Right.
for 8 days, if I remember correctly. We tried to get that song right, re-recording it,
Yeah.
and it was literally just hopeless. And so Andy goes, "Well, let's bring the Akai in. I'll have the engineers here. We'll take it apart, hardwire it out, run the output, do all this stuff, put it into the console to the SSL." So that is actually on that record, and that song went to number 2 on the AOR
Yeah.
charts. That
Massive.
was recorded on a little Akai
Right.
for $90. The tape cost for $90 after we spent $20,000 trying to redo it.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's
So
weird how
it's crazy.
sometimes, like maybe all the big money stuff isn't the best stuff.
Yeah, and you have that with a lot of artists. Will take a very simple approach to it, and sometimes that's the best stuff.
Sure. And I'll ask this right now, like what's your feeling of the old analog versus Pro Tools and digital? I mean, are you do you
Well, I apologize to the listeners and your viewers ahead of time for my uh, bluntness and self-proclaimed opinion that I have. It's my opinion only.
Sure.
There's lots of people that have lots of opinions, and there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I love everybody's opinion. And believe me, there are people that mix and record in the box, meaning just on the DAW with no accessory equipment, outboard
Okay.
equipment, and it sounds good.
Yeah.
It sounds good. A lot of hit songs go through that. I'll
Sure.
exclude pop because I think, what's his name? Ed Sheeran?
Ed
Ed,
Sheeran?
yeah, I think he put the universal definition on pop songs that will live forever or go down in history. When he
Sure.
played 10 songs in a row with the same four chords, 10 different songs,
Right.
he kind of claimed victory.
Yeah. Right.
And I
Um,
love a lot of the songs, not against that either.
yeah. Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So, answer your question. Um, if you play your music there, if you record on a Neve 88 RS console, um, the analog consoles have their own personality. They have their own unique sound.
Sure.
You could take 10 Neves and they will slightly, there'll be a little different, slightly different personality. You'll hear some of the famous producers go, I'll only record on this console,
Yeah.
this one. Uh, Mick Gazowski is a friend of mine who was the engineer of the year in 2013, did that Daft Punk record, which is used as believe it or not, they use it in studios for referencing the speakers or just checking things out because it's
Okay.
so well recorded.
Right.
But that's on a Neve.
Yeah.
And then I also like mixing on an SSL console,
Okay.
from a Neve to an SSL, or some of the stuff on the
Sure.
SSL and stay on the Neve because you can mix on a Neve also.
Okay.
And an SSL has its own sound.
Okay.
You can't compare that to 100% in the box.
Yeah.
They're two different things.
Sure. Sure. Could
They're,
we could
they're
we
just
go back to like the beginning? Like what were you in bands before Angel, or was Angel your first shot at it? And I just kind of like to get an idea of your beginnings in playing music and going out and trying it.
Well, I grew up in a foreign land in Mississippi down in so I was uh, grew up just well, we had pavement on the road a little bit, but the other road was a dirt road, and in the countryside of north of Gulfport, Mississippi.
Okay.
And my grandfather had land there and farmed or grew watermelons and strawberries. And my other grandfather came over from Italy. When he came over, had an ice plant. This is in the when he came over in the early 1900s,
Sure.
and pecan orchards. So it was a different, you know, different world. But I was born kind of knowing how to play the piano, or knew what the piano was at a
Okay.
young age. So soon as I found out what California was, it was like, go west, young man. And all I wanted to do was get to California and get into the music scene. So the first album I did, record I did, I believe I was 13 years old.
Really?
That would be 1964. Um, and recorded that. I had a little high school band and recorded that over in New Orleans at a recording studio. Alan Toussaint produced it, his recording studio.
Okay.
Famous guy in the South with some of the
That name sounds
artists.
familiar.
Oh yeah, and growing up in Mississippi, I was a skinny little white kid that played the piano, but a lot of the musicians, some of the black musicians, God, they were like, wow, what would you call them? Mentors or people that I really just looked up to, and I
Sure.
was around and all sorts of music,
Yeah.
and especially in the French Quarter.
Okay.
When I was, I guess it would have been let's see, I was 13, 14, sometime around 14 to 15 years old. My parents had to sign a letter and say that it was okay for me to play in a bar in the French Quarter. Our sets were from 12 to 4 in the morning.
What? Okay.
And yeah,
Okay.
and that was unusual. So that learning experience. And then in little high school bands I had one very first band I think was called the Telstars. So
Right.
I was trying to map out exactly when that was, but it had to be when the satellite went over because that would have been 62 or 63, I
Okay.
think. And walking down the street, next block over, house in the middle, I walked by and I heard music. And it was a band and they're practicing in the parents' living room. I knocked on the door and they were struggling because you learned songs back then by putting the 45 on the turntable and picking a needle up. They were playing it, and the guitar player's trying to work out stuff
Yeah.
and put the needle back and trying to find the right chord back and forth. Tedious process.
Sure.
I go, what are you guys doing? Or what's going on? And I had gotten a little keyboard. So I brought the keyboard over and they said, we got to learn this song. I said, well, play it. And they were kind of struggling. I said, well, here, this is the chords. I just kind of played it.
Yeah.
They go, how'd you do that? I said, that's a good question. I'm not quite sure, but I know that's what needle thing's driving me crazy. And so, anyway, I joined that band. And
Okay.
then, you know, played in what you normally do, the dances, the local dances, the VFWs. He
Yeah.
had a big military base there, played at the Keesler Air Force Base, which is a major, military facility.
Yeah.
And then I had a band called Flower Power. Geez, that's even embarrassing to say, but
That's all
uh,
1960s, right?
oh, 60s. Yeah, I was in high school, so I would have been late 60, 67, 68, 69, that time frame.
Yeah.
And I opened for Hendrix on 4 shows, special guests with him. That's where I met Jimi Hendrix.
Wow.
And
Okay.
oh yeah, I'd ride in a limo with him, and sometimes Mitch Mitchell would be in there, and
Oh my God.
and I'd hit it off. I don't know, maybe just being Southern or it just hit it off.
Sure.
Opened for the New Orleans Pop Festival, Janis Joplin and Santana, and
With
opened
what band?
Flower Power.
Flower Power? Okay.
A psychedelic band, dreadful. It was just horrible. We were experimenting around with those weird chord changes. You'd have thought you would have made a guess that we came from the San Francisco
Okay.
Haight Street or whatever,
Yep.
playing psychedelic music. But the drummer was really good. I was holding up my end of it and had a female singer. We opened for The Who, a couple of shows. Um, wow, that was an experience. Early
Yeah.
days, my generation was out, and
Right.
they were destroyed the equipment. Nobody turned their Marshall lamps to like 3 or 6. They just ran their hands across the top. Matter of fact, funny story. Hendrix's Marshalls blew out, and my guitar player had bought a triple stack, three double stacks and 3 amp heads. And
Yeah.
he said, can I borrow your amps? And he had just gotten them and was very anal about the whole thing. He said, no, no. I said, are you out of your mind? Are you crazy? Now, Hendrix wasn't that famous. I mean, I'm
Right.
a little bubble down there.
Yeah.
And I said, are you nuts? Linda, absolutely. And I jumped in and said, yes, of course you can.
Right.
And so he was all worried, and Hendrix was right there next to him. He took his jack, plugged it in, and literally ran his hands across the top of all the knobs. So this guy's face went pale, and then
Right.
he hits the chord. You know, it was hilarious.
Was
So
oh good. Did that band get? I mean, did you put out
no,
some albums?
we had a regional singles and stuff like that. We had just a little songs on the radio, the local radio station or
Sure,
station in New Orleans.
sure.
And then I joined, wow, let's see. Then I went through a real burst of different bands. I joined David and the Giants. David
Okay,
Huff he was from Meridian, where Hartley Peavy was, Laurel, Mississippi.
okay.
Tommy Aldridge was in
Yeah.
David and the Giants. Keith
Wow.
Thibodeau was the drummer. Tommy had left, or I came in right when Tommy was in, but leaving, and then Keith Thibodeau, Little Ricky from the I Love Lucy show.
Oh, no way. Yeah.
He was Lucy's kid, Desi and Lucy's kid on TV,
Oh, really? Wow.
and so he was the drummer, Keith
Okay.
Thibodeau, and so I played with them. He was on Capitol, but I didn't sign. I was going. They were re-signing, and I didn't
Okay.
personally sign on because that was not going to be forever.
Sure.
And then I had a couple other groups and stuff. So late. Oh man, I think I had a band called Together. I was changing around
Yeah.
because I was dedicated, but it was some of the other musicians were doing this for fun or to talk to girls or whatever the reason was.
Sure.
Some weren't as serious. So I was constantly searching for somebody that was like-minded like myself on it.
Were you writing songs throughout that whole
Yeah, I was at
process?
the beginning stages of writing, you know,
Yeah.
composing, but not really understanding everything exactly. Uh, the learning curve, new instruments. I had synthesizers right practically when they came out.
Right.
Parents who weren't wealthy, but I didn't know that because I had a storybook life. It's nearly the white picket fence and the
Right.
house and the in 1964, early of 64. So this organ would have Hammond B3 and two Leslies walked into the local music store, and back then that cost $3,000, which was a ton of money.
Yeah.
They bought it off of the showroom floor. Cherry finish Hammond B3 and two 122 Leslies. So it wouldn't be hard to get in a band if you're bringing your own Hammond back in those days.
Right. Right.
Matter of fact, another story. I have too many stories.
Oh,
I'm bad.
please.
I
Please.
you're the first interview I've really done in a long time. I've done just a couple,
Yeah.
but I have to be corralled and focused. So interrupt me anytime because one story leads to the next.
That's
Janis
okay.
Joplin on the New Orleans Pop Festival, her keyboard player's organ broke down and she said, "Can I rent yours?" I said, "God, this is like, this is my baby here. This is big." And I did it. She said, "I promise you, it will be delivered back to you in 3 days until we can have time to get another one from where it was coming from. And they'll be delivered, no, nothing wrong, and I'll pay you a ton." And back then, I forget the exact amount, but it was jaw-dropping what she gave me.
Right.
And believe it or not, truck came and delivered it exactly when they said, and
Right.
that was kind of cool.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So during that period, wait, like what kind of, I mean, there's an explosion of music in those years. What were
Oh
you
my God.
gravitating to?
Um, Obviously a Beatles fan, but
Yeah.
studying piano and understanding the classical, like I stopped sight reading music when I was 9 years old. So, and then I stopped playing other pieces, or people wanted me to play piano pieces, I think when I was 11 years old. I said, I'm only going to play what I write and do and
Sure.
stuff like that. However, I did cover bands to have fun playing, so I was learning while you go on that situation
Yeah.
with the cover stuff. But in my own free time, I wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
I didn't go and sit around and play songbooks or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
Anyway, so, but, well, obviously the Beatles, but the British invasion had an impact. Big fan of Jeff Beck. I just, Jeff Beck had an influence on me for my keyboards because of how he approached solos or how he approached uniqueness.
Yeah.
Just, that guy is, to me, the best on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Sure, Eddie Van Halen, if Eddie wasn't like who he was or turned into, the
Right.
early Eddie was a really great guy, but some people deal with success different.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
they just do without me saying anything negative, but
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and but the his style, and yeah, he launched a whole, you
Yeah.
know, remember these guitar players? I was battling up against these guys my whole life. But
Yeah.
when I got a Moog synthesizer, all things changed with the Moog. The Moog took over the sound systems, no matter
Right.
where we played. When I hit a note on that thing, boy, that I wasn't chopped out by the 4K, 5K guitars constantly. That was a monster, and that was so. When I first saw Emerson, Lake and Palmer,
Yeah.
I said, okay, there's an angle. And then Rick Wakeman, I was a fan of Rick Wakeman, and I think Oscar Peterson would have been a player that had a startling influence, or you know.
Sure. When you were writing music back then, were were you even concerned with lyrics, or were you like, hey, somebody else will handle that. I'll create.
No, no, yes and no, but two things happened back then. There in one of the bands, I believe it was Flower Power, the guitar player was so abusive about even the singing. I mean, I sang in a choir when I was younger at church and all that, and I could hold the tune a little bit,
Sure.
but he wanted to be the dominant one. Oh, that's you're not good enough, or this or that, or I'm doing this, or I'm going to write the lyrics. You can write some of the music.
Right.
Music.
Right.
So it goes to show that if someone's kind of got their thumb on you just belligerently, you were derailed a little bit.
Right.
But I stuck with it. I
Sure.
you
Okay.
know pulled through in what I needed to do,
Sure.
and then um, the bands. I had a band called Together, which was such an odd name, and
Right.
a band called Maxima,
Okay.
odd. And we would play, those two bands would play in these gigantic nightclubs in the early 70s, 71, 72-ish. When I say big clubs, I mean whole 2,000 people as a
Yeah.
bar, with a big stage and sound system and
Right.
stuff. And one of these notes that came up to me one time, band, hey, the girls would send you notes, or the waitress would give you something, or somebody would get a note, call me, this, that, this, that. Wasn't uncommon in that situation.
Right.
And I remember playing, and it had to be with this band Maxima, because we played a lot in Florida and down that thing. And this was a big club outside either Fort Lauderdale or Orlando. I've been trying to remember where and how. I just can't, because there's so many of them.
Sure.
I got a note that started out, the band is dreadful. I went, oh, great. Dreadful wasn't a common Southern word that you would hear. But when you get something put together, it was like you've got it, or you're uh, actually a strange thing, beautiful, or some weird stuff, and called this number on my management in London, and here's a number in England written at the bottom. signed David Bowie. And so this will play a factor later on when I get Angel together, because I called the number.
Yeah.
And I asked to speak to this guy, Lawrence Myers, who was a big manager, promoter, managed Tony DeFries, who managed David Bowie. He was in the company.
Yep.
Managed Gary Glitter, a whole bunch of that whole scene. And he said, I said, I got this note from David saying I should call, and when I had something that I really thought was special. So they got in touch with David Joseph, from what how it did. And David Joseph flew in practically the same night Gene Simmons was there, and Kiss showed up at the small club called Bogies.
So how did Angel come together? Like when did that?
There's so many. I've been reading, and what the guys have been doing interviews, and different people. The story, as all stories, they more for impressions change or memories.
Yep.
Include stuff or do it, and I do that too. But this particular thing, I knew I wanted the band called Angel way in the beginning, before anybody had said anything. Or Punky, I met Punky, saw him play, I guess, with Cherry People or whatever, a band, Bucks or something. Then he came down to Mississippi, and Punky in Mississippi fit in like been like a 747 landing at the crop dusting strip on the farm. So it was funny. And we hit it off really well. I thought he was a great player and unique human being, to say the least.
Sure.
And we got along, the thing when you meet somebody, you feel like and it happens in music a lot. Maybe it happens in other fields, but sometimes you will meet a fellow musician and it's odd. It's like you've known them your whole life.
Yeah.
But so many things in common, so many life experiences growing up in common.
Yep.
And so then I had it. I was just so frustrated with the whole thing. I said, I have got to put a band together. I'm going up north, and Punky's in DC. I went to New York first, and then looked around, and then went to DC, met Punky. I said, let's put something together. Mm-hmm. And we started searching around. And I think the first guy that we talked to, that I talked to and gave a shot at, was Mickey Jones, was the first guy.
Yeah.
And then Mickey knew Barry, I think.
Okay.
Barry was in another band, so I went to see him, invited him, and Frank was the last guy to come in, if I remember correctly.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so it started with just Punky and I started it. Okay. I went there, I made the trip, so I consider myself the founder of the band, because I drove there, made the effort, and talked to Punky. He agreed, so he's the co-founder, and then we started searching and put the band together. And then either Mickey or Frank, I think. It wasn't Barry, because Barry was Barry. He's just incredible human being, just great. And found this, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, especially right now. I think he was Iranian or from Iraq. I want to say Iranian. Okay. And he owned a nightclub on I believe it was on M Street. So that's right down from the White House, or the Capitol.
In DC.
Straight shot into the center.
Yep.
And so we had a rehearsal space, so we started rehearsing up there.
Yeah.
And in exchange, we played on Friday and Saturday night in the club. And it is beyond hilarious. We could do a sitcom about how that was, because we used some pyro in the club. We broke all the glasses one time, all the wine glasses, and everything flew off of the bars and racks. And he would get furious and go into this accent that we couldn't understand.
Right.
And then would let us back in, rehearse again. We'd apologize. We won't do that. It was hilarious.
Okay.
So that's where we formed the band.
Okay.
Played, rehearsed much as we could, tested it out, and played. So when Gene and Paul came, there was another guy, a writer, a guy that wrote interviews and stuff. I want to say Gordon, or he kind of was instrumental, I think, in bringing Gene and Paul down.
Okay.
And that's where started my friendship and long time relationship with a guy that I really admire. I know Gene catches a lot of stuff and this and that, but very few people have his work ethic and his
Absolutely.
focus. Very
Absolutely.
few. I think I've only really, I'd like to think I had his work ethic, a really good one, but he dwarfed me. He just very, very focused, you know.
And he could do a million things at a time and be involved with so many different
Yeah.
projects.
I was honored when he put me in his book or said something that he had met. Because when I left music, I ran Lee Iacocca's companies and Alan Paulson from Gulfstream Jets, who owned that. And they were my mentors along with Bill Fugazi, real close friend of Trump's. And matter of fact, he was Bob Hope's best friend, Bill
Okay.
Fugazi.
Okay.
The word Fugazi is in movies. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember a Fugazi or Fugazi,
Right.
but I actually knew the real Bill Fugazi.
Wow.
I want to
So,
do a movie one day just about him. It's just,
right.
you can't even make, I can I could hire Hollywood writers and tell them to go actually berserk and just make up the wildest stories they could think of, and it still would come to close of my life through that time frame with those guys.
Uh, just
Nuts.
the names that I've heard, and I did a lot of research, but I didn't, you don't get into the flower power and stuff. I mean, like I couldn't find, so to hear Janis Joplin and Bowie and Hendrix come up, yeah,
Well, yeah, I was down being close to New Orleans where everybody came to the concerts there, did shows. And then if they were doing pickup dates, um, Jackson, Mississippi, or Mobile and Baton Rouge would be big enough cities to do pickup dates in,
okay,
you know?
yeah. So
So,
after Gene comes in and sees you guys, had you already developed kind of a name in DC? I mean, were you
oh, yeah.
okay?
Yeah. And we were there to rehearse and practice the songs and test them out in front of an audience.
Yeah,
We were playing the album, the first album.
sure.
We didn't write anything when we got to, we went, by the time we got to LA, um, it seems like just like it was overnight, we went straight in, started getting organized. I remember going from the airport, limos were there to pick us up and took us to Sunset Marquis, you know.
Right.
So I was in the little bar. The little bar was like in Sunset Marquis was funny. Now bars are great and hotels or something, but it was like a room. It was like they took a giant storage room, square room,
Yeah.
put tables in it and had a bar on the side.
Right.
The first day I went into there and uh, well, we got to the hotel and first thing I did when I got there, it was a block away from North Beach Leather. I said, God, I need a jacket. Everybody's saying it gets cold at night and, nice in the day. And
Yeah.
I said, I gotta go get a cool jacket. Literally walked up the street 2 blocks up this kind of steep hill, and there was North Beach Leather. I buy this really cool brown, cool jacket. Come back, evening comes, go into the bar, and English guys are sitting behind me. And this guy said, "Hey," have in English accent. He goes, "I like that jacket." And I said, "Man, I like yours. Your jacket's pretty cool." He goes, "You want to trade?" I go on. I just bought it. I kind of like it. Go here, try this one on. And he was smaller than me, but I was really skinny back then.
Yeah.
But it fit perfect. He
Yeah.
bought it, I guess, a little big. So I gave him my jacket and I took his. And I said, great, cool. I said, my name's Greg. What's your name? He goes, Elton. I said,
Ah,
oh. I said, oh, okay. Wow, okay. But I didn't know him really. So
right.
I knew kind of who he was, but it was Elton John. So.
Unbelievable. Talk about another
But
keyboard
not
player.
uncommon at the Sunset Marquee to see everybody that you have their records. So,
Amazing. Amazing.
yeah.
Um, so Gene discovers you, and how long after you talk to Gene do you get signed by Casablanca?
Yeah, there was a little process there. But Gene was responsible. He made the call. He called Neil in the middle of the night. So, you know, he goes, I found something, found these guys. So
Yeah.
he was Johnny on the spot, and he gets that credit.
Yeah.
And David Bowie gets the credit for sending his guy that management found the other management. He showed up.
Right.
We
Right.
get to LA, and we did go through a process
Sure.
because the management decided to go ahead. Well, first we met with Capitol Records
Okay.
also. So Richard Perry.
Okay.
And um, Neil, I don't think we had done the formal meeting with Neil yet
Neil Bogart.
because I really want, yeah, Neil Bogart. I and the rest of the band, we really wanted to do the record our way.
Yeah.
We didn't want a single. We were not doing that.
Okay.
And it was album oriented, something different.
Yep.
And so Richard is phenomenal, Perry, God, he's everything. He said, well, I'm gonna put you with writers and we're gonna have a producer or I'll do it or we're gonna get you with and I went, no, 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 that's not what we're looking for. I don't
Okay.
think I said it to his face quite like that, but I said, yeah, yeah, yuck, this is not right.
Yeah.
Neil said, putting you guys in the studio and we're gonna hey take a look at these two guys, uh, Derek Lawrence and Jim Sullivan were the producers on it. But we had everything done. They just had to. They were sitting in their seat with a seatbelt on.
The songs were all ready to go.
Yeah,
Okay.
we wanted them to do them like that and to have hands on doing it. So, and we recorded that first record. I believe it was Wally Hyder. The record plant wasn't even built yet, not in LA yet.
So the debut comes out in 75. Like, what was, do you remember who you were touring with and what did you guys do to promote it?
We didn't. Angel never played in a club or on the Sunset Strip or the Whiskey or any of that. Uh, our first show, I think, was a few nights at the Santa Monica Civic Center.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where we were introduced.
Sure.
I think the next time we played there was the Forum. With
Okay.
so we didn't do any clubs. The
Okay.
only clubs that we would play in were these really big ones, but I don't call them nightclubs.
Yeah.
Paragon Ballroom in Chicago, I wouldn't call that a club.
Right.
Palladium, I wouldn't call that a club.
Sure.
You know what I mean? In New York.
Yeah.
So I would say big theater like
Yeah.
places that served alcohol, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we were fortunate that we didn't. Well, it was just different.
Yeah.
We came from out of town, and a lot of the guys and friends of mine that were all in I guess the Sunset, the Strip, bands, whether it's Motley Crue to Who All, and
Yeah.
all the guys. Vince is a good friend of mine for a long time. A lot of the guys, I knew all the guys. Angel was ahead of them
Yep.
timing wise, wish I sold as many records as Motley Crue and
Yeah.
all those guys. But our first two records we held to our niche
Yeah.
before we went off the rails, kind of.
And I'm I'm glad you. So the first album went to 181. Hell of a Band goes to 155. Was there pressure by Casablanca to, hey, you guys got to do something
Yeah.
different?
Yeah, maybe take a different approach to it or something.
Okay.
It was really funny. Larry Harris says it in his book, but I didn't know that. And this band later on in our life turned out to be a big part of was that Larry Harris BP, A&R guy with Neil Bogart,
Yep.
said that it was down to bands that they were picking, and both singers had high voices, and it was between Angel and Rush, and they didn't go with Rush; they went with us.
Yeah.
I'm sure they wish they would have gone with Rush, but maybe or whatever. But we did that, and then we ended up doing. I bet you I was a special guest with Rush on 50, 60 shows or more.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
phenomenal guys.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
So you said that it kind of went off the rails after album number two. Could you just elaborate on what you mean by that?
Well, it just changed. Easiest way to describe it is too much too soon, too young, too much too soon. Just it was a whirlwind situation. We had ICM as the agency and powerful management, and it just a lot of doors opened. We had I remember a situation where I don't know how in the world this happened, but it almost caused a kind of a begrudging situation. First time we played with Styx, we headlined. They had albums out and they special guests. It was backwards for what reality should have been.
Right.
And then we ended up touring with Styx and then doing some co-headlining a little bit, a few times.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that.
Right.
I always thought, there's guys in bands that just stick out, that really jump out
Yeah.
to musicians. And I don't know if other musicians are so open. To me, but Tommy Shaw was an instantly recognized talent.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that early on.
Yeah.
Wasn't into Dennis DeYoung's whole thing, but diva thing, but whatever.
Right.
Just jumping back to something, the only other person that I know that had Gene Simmons' work ethic and focusing is David Copperfield, the magician.
Oh, really?
David's work ethic is actually not even human. It's from another planet.
How do
So
you get to know him?
Yeah, I know.
How did that come about?
When I got into the gaming industry and slot machines, I ran into him at some little restaurant. He was having lunch with a team of his bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I just walked up to him and I said, "Hey, David, I'm Greg Giuffria, blah, blah." I go, "I have a company and I do gaming devices, slot machines.
Yeah.
You'd be perfect for a David Copperfield slot machine,
Yeah.
And so he goes, "Let's talk." So that's how we met.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did his machine, and partnered. I was doing stuff with Bally's and IGT.
Okay.
At the same time. Yeah.
Okay. On the third Angel album, you guys, it is a lot more successful than the first two, On Earth as It Is in Heaven.
We were touring everywhere that had 2,000 people or more. We played.
Right.
Somebody asked me, "Where have you been? Where have you traveled to?" I said, "I've been 100 miles within everywhere."
Yeah. Right.
Literally. I mean,
right.
I don't, any city that had X amount of people, we played it.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, I can't do like Gene does and go, Gene, do you remember playing in Cleveland in June? He goes, yeah, what, June 18th? Yeah. We made $320,000 that night.
Yeah.
He's he, he's unbelievable, just unbelievable with that.
I guess the way you talk about him, I was going to ask, was there ever any animosity between you and Kiss? Because Kiss was, was blowing up in the 70s and Angel was doing fine, but obviously it's not because you have such a respect for him.
No, he made it clear to us. He said he told Neil the first, they'll never open for us. I'll tell you that. That helped influence Neil's decision, and we never did. There's all these rumors on thing where fans are saying that they saw us open for Kiss, and I go, "Shot, I don't know. Don't eat too many mushrooms when you go to the concert." So it wasn't us.
Right. Um,
But no, absolutely no animosity.
sure.
No,
Sure.
matter of fact, uh, Ace Frehley is a buddy, and
Yeah.
my memories with Kiss, I'd see them on tour. We'd run into each other on the road. They would maybe be. I remember. I remember one night we were. Boy, I get it. It's such a blur sometimes.
Sure.
I think Kiss was playing, and we were coming in the next day or so, or 2 days, and we were for some reason all staying at the Pontchartrain, a hotel across the street from Cobo, basically.
Yeah.
And so Ace goes, "Let's go to the bar and get a drink." I talk like Curly, and so I met down there, and we were in quasi, caps or sunglasses, just trying to just go out
Yeah.
and we pull up, and it's like in the movies. This guy pulls up in a brand new Cadillac, like a 78, 77, Eldorado, beautiful. And he throws the keys at Ace. Catches him, goes, "Park it," and walks in. And I looked at Ace and went, "No, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. No." Well, we did. We brought it back later.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the part, like, did you guys get into the party scene? I mean, it's the 70s, or are
Um,
you pretty straight laced?
no, I believe it or not, that whole thing was not. I think I heard really drank a Heineken or started to kind of like beer or a Heineken on in the second tour or a couple of years into Angel, because I remember who was my tech at the time, whoever, I think I did it during Angel. I know I did during Jaffria. Would bring out a Heineken with the green bottle with a flashlight underneath it, and it would be glowing like some kind of flame on the top. And I would drink it and then spray the beer in the air.
Okay.
Long time ago. But no, things yeah, did I try some things? Yeah. Well,
Sure.
but I'm not even gonna say the word, but back then it's only so much coffee you could drink while you're waiting in the studio for whatever. And I swear to God, those consoles and that equipment knew when you were behind schedule, or I actually would say this at the record plant in the hallway. I say, I swear to God, if anybody opens their mouth and says, "Hey, is problems with the console," or "We got to get this done today," do not say anything in front of the console, because if you do, it will stop working.
Right. Right. Um, did you get frustrated that Angel, like on White Hot went to 55, you had a hit single, Ain't Gonna Eat My Heart Out Anymore. That went to number 44, but did you ever feel like, geez,
Yeah, but
why?
we didn't write that.
Okay.
Um, where I and we as a collective made the mistake is we got lazy. We didn't spend enough time really focusing in and writing songs. And
Okay.
I always like to use, I was around when the Eagles were doing Hotel California.
Yeah.
Um, there was no line that they were going to draw into the sand and say we have to stop on this day. They were going, this was going to be perfect.
Yep.
Hotel California was going to be perfect or else.
Right.
And I was just taken back by all of the dedication that everybody had that we weren't doing.
Okay.
We were, I was floating around, hanging out the rainbow, not practicing as much as I should have, or writing as much
Yep.
that I should have.
Okay.
And that was a mistake.
Okay.
I think that if we'd have worked a little harder or not have been so aggressive about not co-writing with somebody or having some writers work with us, where Gene and them would work with Delaney or and what was the other guy that they co-wrote some of the earlier songs with? A blank on their names, but
Yeah, you said John Delaney, but there was another. Yeah,
there was one other person, if I remember correctly, and there was nothing wrong with it. Didn't hurt their career. They
Right.
didn't say anything, and I don't know. Ozzy's got a lot of songs published, but I don't ever remember Ozzy writing anything. But who knows? Sharon may have written it, but
I think, yeah, I've kind
I'm
of
sure he
talked
did.
about that.
I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just
No,
saying that there
sure.
was a lot of people presenting songs, and
Yeah.
especially in the 70s, and there were songwriters. You couldn't pull out of your driveway without running over a couple of them.
Sure. What were you kind of like no, it's going to be our songs, or were you okay? Like, were you kind of against bringing in?
No, I would say we were all the ringleaders on that whole situation, wanted to do our own songs.
Yeah.
Frank took over the chore on the lyrics, and we were boy, it would have been timely if the video games and Game of Thrones was out now and all that. All those songs would fit right into that era of
Sure.
the medieval, mystical, fanciful islands. But they all had a message. I'm proud of two songs that I wrote a lot of music, and what Frank did with the lyrics was the Tower and the Fortune on the first record and Fortune on the second record.
Yep.
Yeah. Those were defining songs.
Okay. Okay.
So White Hot, yeah, that there was a few things that were interesting on that.
Yep.
But after that, Sinful, I thought was, yeah, Punky and I started to just deviate. We never had an argument or anything like that. It was just, we just deviated.
Okay.
And the touring was so constant. And then as soon as you get back, you're in the studio.
Yeah.
And then you don't really have enough time to write and think or have being able to reach deep, if you will, when everything's coming at you at a light speed.
Were you happy with how Casablanca ran you guys, or your management? Did you feel rushed, or
Well, yeah, there was a little bit of that, but then again, I'm at fault for that.
Sure.
I should have demanded more time, writing time.
Right.
That's why on the first and second album, first album has some unique songs on it.
Yeah.
Some pieces or musical pieces.
Right.
And then if you take a look at the Tower and then put Sinful next to it, it sounds like two different bands.
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah.
And you were okay with that change? I mean, no.
Happened. I guess I was partying and doing, going crazy and just everything. So,
Okay.
but and not blaming and looking back on things or anything. MTV wasn't around yet.
Yeah.
MTV didn't come out till what, 81, 82?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
We missed that opportunity because we were a visual group. We were very visual. So.
and I was gonna ask earlier, like when did the image, How did that come about? I mean, the all white, the kind of the opposite of Kiss and very
No, that that is just unreal that it is that, but the name kind of says white. When you say
Yep.
angel, you think
Yep.
of,
Yep.
if you're maybe a good person, you might think of a dark angel if you're bad. Or, uh, but the band sure didn't say, "Boy, let's dress in all white," and so the management and
Okay.
different people around management, and then I guess the early conceptual people that were out there about branding or having a look or having a statement or whatever,
Yep.
those people were around us, and
Sure.
all sorts of people were around
Sure.
us. And next thing you know, I'm up there in spandex.
So you would have preferred to have a much different.
No, I wanted to do a show that all fit together if you have the magic and all the things that we were doing.
Yep.
Disney built, Sid and Marty Krofft designed our magic acts, and
Yeah.
Johnny Vaughn, Jimmy Vaughn, Johnny
Yeah.
Vaughn, from the Magic Castle and the magic books, and all that stuff was fascinating and fun.
Yeah.
The stages aren't like today, and things aren't organized. The riggings and the technical aspect of putting on the show are sophisticated today. Back then, they weren't. They just weren't.
Right.
And the headliners could be difficult. I kid Steven Tyler about. I think first time we played with Aerosmith, I think we had one red light on us. We looked like we were developing film in the room or something.
Yeah. So you went out with Aerosmith. Was there any other like tours that really stand out during the Angel years?
Well, we were all there. Kind of Angel opened for a lot of different people. A special guested for a
Sure.
lot of different people.
Yeah.
My soulmate brother, Steve Marriott. I mean,
Oh,
good
wow.
God in heaven.
Yeah.
He could get you in trouble in an empty room. Uh, just what a character. Ozzy. Well, I didn't tour. Angel didn't tour with Ozzy, but that's later on. But Angel tours. We were all new bands. Rush, Boston, Heart.
Yeah.
And if I may say so myself, those guys sold a lot of records, but I was in a group of people and peers that were phenomenal.
Yeah.
All of them.
Totally.
I mean, all the way to 80, I want to say 87 or 88. That time frame from 1975 to 88, to me, I was in direct competition with super talented guys. Not competition, but a factor in it.
Yes.
I mean, I look back at Call to the Heart when we would pop up in the top 10 all the time.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it's the highest we got on Billboard, I think, was 15 on the Billboard charts.
With Call to the Heart.
But we were number one on the charts in 21 major markets for weeks upon end. We hit the number one spot.
Yeah.
But in the aggregate, if Billboard is the aggregate of everything.
Yep.
Take a look in January, February of 1985, the top 20 songs in the Billboard top 20. Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. I'm next to Bryan Adams, Eagles, Sting. The list is just like who's who.
Bruce Springsteen and
Oh, don't say that word on.
I'm with you.
No. Oh, God. And you can keep this in for all I care. There's a couple of bands I don't understand. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
People say, well, it's your fault. You must not have ears or you must not be. But two that come to mind that I just don't get at all is a New Jersey bar band. That's Bruce Springsteen. It sounded like every bar band in New Jersey.
I'm with
you. And then U2. I don't even understand. I don't understand a single thing of musicianship with that band. The guitar player squigglies around with echo and reverb on the upper end, and I guess he knows chords or something. But and then the singer, I don't know. That's odd, but anyway, they're huge. Both of them are huge. Bruce Springsteen did write a really good song, but it didn't transcribe right, or didn't to me.
Okay.
Dancing in the dark, dancing in
And
the night,
Dancing in the Dark.
dancing in the dark.
Yep.
I saw a Norwegian like Voice or America's Got Talent kind of show. You know, one of the shows that people come up and do a song.
Yep.
And a guy from either Denmark or Norway did a rendition of Dancing in the Dark. Did you ever see that?
I didn't.
With an acoustic guitar. The second the song finished, his bit on it, I had stopped the TV. I said, "Good God." I said, "That guy now owns that song.
Okay.
It will never be referred to as a Bruce Springsteen song. Never.
I need to find that now.
You should look it up.
Yeah, I will.
It is staggering. He captures the song.
Right.
And that's happened across music numerous times.
Yeah.
Trent Reznor, God, super talented guy, wrote the song Hurt.
Yeah.
And when Johnny Cash sang it, he even said it. He goes, "Well, that's Johnny Cash's song now."
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's, and then I heard a song, God, I wish, living, it's so strange to go back and discover things that were happening when you were there, but you didn't see it or hear it.
Yeah.
And people go, "Well, what do you mean? You're in music, you're there, you're around everybody, you're in LA." I go, "Well, let me explain it." We go out on tour. The second we come back, we got to go into rehearsals. The second we're finished with trying to write some songs, we're in the studio. The second we're doing that, we're in photo sessions and doing all this other stuff and publicity stuff. Blah, blah, blah. And then we're back out on the road. So that. And then somebody said to me, "Well, don't you listen to the radio in your car when you're in your car?" And I go, "No, I take my radios out or don't turn them on in the car." "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, if I'm writing, I don't want to be listening to all these songs because I don't want to be influenced because I'm such big fans of all these people. I mean, there's so many extraordinary musicians and bands and stuff that I don't want osmosis creep in and all of a sudden I'm trying to play an AC/DC part on the keyboard."
Yeah.
And so I remember buying a Ferrari one time and I had him take the radio out. The guy goes, he goes, "Let me get this straight. You want us to do what?" I said, "I don't even want the thing, just take it out." They were in tears. I said, "It's like a fisherman going fishing on his day off. I'm in the studio for 17 hours, get in the car and I want to crank up the radio. No, no, no.
Right.
I'll listen to stuff in the right environment."
You're kind of in a bubble, not exposed to everything that everybody else is exposed to.
Tried to, but you obviously hear things and stuff like that.
Yep.
I remember, because I've had quantum leaps and quantum life experiences that change things. And I know that David Gilmour and Pink Floyd, I remember the impact of Dark Side of the Moon and then the quantum leap they did on Comfortably Numb.
Yeah.
And you see and feel the quantum jump.
Right.
But any band can have like really sideways people pop up. I think Roger Waters handled it horribly.
Yeah.
The whole can't bring politics is so stupid to bring in politics into music or film.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? It just doesn't make sense. But anyway,
No.
so
yeah. I was gonna ask, so you mentioned the last Angel album. You did put out a live album. What led to the end of Angel? Like when did you think, okay, this That's it.
Yeah, the Live Without a Net. I wish Eddie Van Halen would have thought of another name for their live album instead of borrowing mine.
That's
But
right.
anyway,
That's right. Live Without a Net.
yeah. Um, it's appropriate when you're doing it. You're not, some bands go back in and their live album is not exactly live,
Right.
but we had live. One thing that I was proud of with both Angel and with Jaffria, and we did with House of Lords, were these live radio broadcasts that they would record. WMMS was famous for doing it in Cleveland, and a Florida station would do these, set up a whole, console thing and play it and then go straight to air with it. And so you really were playing live. You're playing live and they're capturing it. And that was fun.
Right. Right.
But yeah, David Gilmour also had a profound effect on me. Those guys,
How was that?
just writing and staying with it till you get it right.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
yes, had an impact. That was just, started out with Tony Kaye, who was a friend back then. Matter of fact, I sold some of my equipment to Tony Kaye when I left music, which was
Okay.
foolish.
Okay.
And then Prince got my Moog modular, and we had a deal that I could get it back at any time when I wanted it and give him the same amount of money. And he up and dies before I get it back, and it's been involved in the people claiming to be relatives. The estate, I think, was all tied up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been able to track. They moved it from the studio part and to somewhere else, and I don't even know if it's still there. Who knows? It was a private transaction we did.
Sure. Sure. So the end of Angel, did it just fizzle out, or was there a big?
Yeah, no, yeah. It was a slow burn, fizzle, exhaustion kind of thing, and we started getting different people in. I know Ricky Phillips came in, played bass, and Rudy was playing, and this guy, and this person, and this singer, real talented people, but we couldn't get it to click.
Okay.
And I decided I was going to go on with the Angel name
Okay.
and experiment. And then I said, no, I'm not gonna. It's not Angel. It needs to be a fresh situation. And that's when and I had gotten engaged, I'd met my soon to be wife at that time.
Yep.
In 83, January of 83. And then from, I don't know, 80, maybe 81, I was seeing, this girl, Tawny Katane. She went on to marry Coverdale.
Yeah.
I broke up with her, and she said, I'm going to marry another guy in a band or something like that. She goes out, marries David.
Sorry, I to laugh, but that's shocking.
Yeah, it was funny. My first date with my now wife, the two of us are sitting at a table. And unfortunately, I've had things like this happen to me a lot of times. So I got used to drinking part of my vodka tonic with ice. I would have a vodka and tonic with a lime in it and ice. So anyway, Tony walks up, sits at the table I'm out with this girl, and then stands up, and I went, damn it. I saw it happening. I said, there's my full vodka tonic right there, right in the face, so I'd get that occasionally. That was funny. It was very common. And she said, why did she do that? Why'd she just throw a drink in your face? I said, I don't know. Who knows? But, yeah. Yeah. So April said, well, you got to get back into music. I think I took her to see Pink Floyd. We went to a show. I didn't go to concerts. I can tell you, I've only gone to a handful. I can count them on my hands of actually where I went to a concert.
Really?
Yeah. I'd go side stage sometime. I saw the Rolling Stones. I was on the side stage. Ron Wood and knew all those guys. And then I popped in with Rod Stewart one time, but I didn't stay long. I was on side stage and went to I went out front. I wanted to see AC/DC out front, and I wanted to see Pink Floyd out front. So I went to the stadium, the LA Stadium date that they did, the big one, and I could get the exact year because it was in that time frame between uh, 83, yeah, end of 82. No, I'm at or 83. So it had to be 1983 that I saw this. And then the next thing I know, she's saying, you got to put something together and do it. So then I started putting a band together, and which would evolve into being Jaffria, and started writing with David Glenn Isley.
How did you find David Glenn Isley?
I think Chuck recommended him, Chuck Wright.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to a bunch of singers, trying to talk to a lot of different singers, a lot.
Yeah.
There were Sunset Strip singers. I remember one guy coming in and looked like a male model with he was more so concerned about how he looked and could barely sing, or then it was crazy, the different
Right.
people that you meet.
Right. What was your opinion of that Sunset Strip, those bands, your
Hey,
Rats, your Quiet
couldn't
Riots?
say. LA was the center of the universe between the late 60s, like basically 67, 68, and Zeppelin, you know, all that happened, and on was the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Every actor wanted to hang out with guys in rock bands. We were the kind of the center of the universe.
Yeah. What was your plan as far as the direction? I mean, Giuffria's definitely more pop rock, and I love the Giuffria albums.
Yeah, I just wanted stuff that was more accessible. I learned my lesson in Angel. It's great to be an outlier.
Yep.
It's fun, but when we shifted to that pop stuff or whatever you call it that we were doing, I didn't know what that mess was on Sinful. Um, it was just alien to me. It was not what I wanted to be doing it. And believe it or not, I was writing some stuff on the record, so I can't, it was,
Right.
guess I had fog hat on. I guess that's where they got that name.
Oh, God, yeah.
So, and then, so 81, end of 80, so 81, 82, and 83 were kind of a weird time frame.
Yep.
Angel stuff, this, different groups, different stuff. One day I'll be able to talk about a piece of music that was ended up being a big hit for somebody else, but it's
Oh,
can't.
okay.
Sometime down the road, I will talk about it.
Okay.
But and she said, you need to do this. You need to go back into music.
Yeah.
So I talked to Bruce Bird, and then Lou Wasserman, who at Universal,
Yeah.
the Lou.
Yeah.
I met him and stuff. And anyway, he was putting Irving Azoff over as CEO and in charge of MCA.
Yep.
And it was funny because I said, I don't really like Irving Azoff. I mean, people did at the time. I do now.
Right.
I understand Irving, and we see each other some, and I run into him now,
Okay.
and he would get so mad at me sometimes, me opening my mouth and saying things. I'd make a complaint about something, and he would just rain terror on me. I was terrified. But Irving's an extraordinary accomplished business guy,
Yes.
to say the least. I mean, just say the least. So anyway, we go over there, and the name comes up, and I just used my last name. We didn't want to use the. I was trying to even remember if I even remembered some of the ideas, but but and then the question was, I remember it's people having trouble pronouncing it,
Yeah.
and MCA goes, or somebody at Universal, or and being connected like that, said, well, if Universal can teach the world to sing, I don't know, if Coca-Cola can teach the world to sing, I love to sing, da 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 da.
Yep.
If Coca-Cola can teach the world to sing, Universal MCA can teach how to say Jaffria.
Yeah.
So they did all these neat little packages to radio stations with the phonetically spelled out and all that stuff. It was cool. It was great.
Sure.
So yeah.
Sure. So the first album comes out in 84. What do you remember about and that was Andy Johns and you produced it. What do you remember about making
Well,
the
yeah, I think on the record it said I was the producer of it,
Okay.
and Andy engineered it
Okay. Okay.
on the first record, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
It's been altered in Wikipedia, and none of the information is exactly correct on all of this stuff. It's really weird. I have to eventually hire someone to go through and change and substantiate all of this information.
You're
Um,
absolutely right.
but I asked Andy to engineer it because I just felt I knew exactly what I wanted it to be, and
Yep.
the songs, and David and I got along great. And this is his really first record, major label kind of thing for David. Phenomenal singer, really good singer,
Amazing.
really good singer. And um, basically, I forgot what I was talking about. Let's see. You asked me, yeah, it was put together like that in a sequence of events. The drummer came in, and then and then I saw Craig Goldie. My wife and I actually went to a concert. I read somebody said, or even Goldie said, yeah, Greg and Dave came to see me play. No, I just stopped by to see. I was seeing something else, or somebody was on the thing, and I heard him play, and I went, wow, he's really good, and he's different. He has just a little twist. That's all you really needed in the business, to be accomplished on your instrument, but have a signature sound.
Yeah.
And Greg did that. And he just played great on that record.
Amazing.
The second Jaffria record was just good Lord in heaven. That guy, Pat Glasser, the producer,
Okay.
he might have been just like you ever go bass fishing and set the bass on the side? Don't put him in trout fishing. He was a fish out of water with us. It just like, I couldn't even understand anything he was talking about. I mean, we just, it just didn't work with us. I think you might need to edit some of my stuff if I stumble to go down the road to say something. I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, but you can't look at Night Ranger. Great musicians, super talented guys. Just simple as that. Now, is that Pat Glasser doing that, or was it Night Ranger?
Right.
It was Night Ranger.
Right.
They knew what they were doing in there.
Yeah.
He wasn't an engineer, so I don't know.
Why was he brought in to produce that?
Huh?
Why was he brought in to produce that, the second one?
Because I guess Bruce Bird thought that we just really needed to focus on getting some singles, or get singles out of it. And there was no singles on that were any good on that. It was just a mess. And I got discouraged in the middle of it. I got really discouraged.
Okay.
I was not happy with that whole thing, the sound, I just, you know, it was unusual. Sometime maybe we'll do another one of these. I'll tell you.
Right.
I was so upset during this that record company said, Greg, just take a week off or just go somewhere for just 10 days. We'll shut down. We'll just, you're really upset. And then I flew down to Florida to Fort Lauderdale, and I went bass fishing on Lake Okeechobee, and relaxed. And I was throwing the casting so hard that scaring all the fish everywhere. And my brother-in-law go, what is wrong with you? I said, I just this record and the producer and I'm just not liking it, life or anything. And so I'm telling part of the story, but I'll go into detail later. And I said, I don't care, just I'm going back. And I get hijacked on that flight. It was the famous Delta flight 4. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And my wife and I. Yeah. It was
What?
crazy, crazy story.
What? Oh, I mean, and if you don't want to go into, but what happened?
Well, I'll tell it. So
Okay, please.
we get on the plane, and there are some few seats, whether they're no shows or what. We sit in our seat, and I notice a guy coming in with the biggest head of red hair fluffed out like an afro kind of thing, but redheaded guy like this, like craziest haircut you've ever seen. And I'm looking at him, and there's a seat empty in front of me. I go, no way is he sitting there. I'm gonna watch the movie. So he sits in this other seat. Oh, great. All is good. So then he's moved to another seat. I'm watching, he catches my attention because of the hair. Then he moves to another seat over there. And then he comes right when the movie starts. He sits in front of me. Can't see the screen at all. I reach through the seat, gouge him in the ribs. I said, hey, pal, you've been bouncing around seats all the time. Scram, go sit somewhere else. Wow, fuck you. I said, leave. It's not your seat. Will you leave, please? He gets up and leaves. Now, by this time, we're like heading up. We're about an hour or so, I'd guess, from Miami, and must be like over Mississippi or somewhere, over the Gulf somewhere there. And all of a sudden, there's like commotion with the flight attendants. The movie goes off, no, nothing going on. I go, wow. And then we start a rapid descent. I mean, now, so we're coming in probably Louisiana, Texas, and we land in Dallas. We're down, and I'm trying to get the flight attendants. I said, hey, what's going on? She goes, oh, please just be calm, And I go, no, 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 no. There's an issue. They're not telling us, or you don't land like that and going down. So taxi up. We don't go all the way to the gate. We kind of get into position to go in, and I look out the window. You can see out from my center seat position. Okay, and everybody's doing this, running from the plane. They're pulling tanks of equipment, luggage things, vehicles are all going that way everywhere, away from us. I'm going, well, God, that's weird. And they then pull up a little bit more and go into the gate. Nobody's getting out, nothing. And so finally, the flight attendant, I get her attention. I said, listen, I fly as much as you do. I said, none of this is protocol. Nothing is right. What is it? Somebody has got what? What? She goes, we're being hijacked. And so my wife is sitting to my left, and she's talking to these people constantly. There's people. My wife would talk to a statue, and so I go, April, excuse me. And I look down the thing and says, oh, sorry about that. Sorry for interrupting. We're being hijacked. She goes, oh, please stop. I'm not in the mood for any of your jokes right now. Just shut up. She goes back to talking. I go, sorry. I said, for real, we're being hijacked. She goes, I'm seriously, don't interrupt me again. Something like that.
Yeah.
I go, April, we're being hijacked. Now the people in front of me and behind me go, ah! They start screaming. The flight attendant looks at me like, thanks. I told you to keep your mouth shut. Now we're in pandemonium there.
Yeah.
And I guess we sat on the plane 3 hours or so. It was getting really hot. And um, they somehow the negotiators talk him into start letting people off. Okay.
Yeah.
Back up in the story, because I haven't told the story in a long time. The other person serving the cart and drinks, the guy has a drink thing, a tray, and hands me the tray with the drink in it, and then spills the drink in my lap. So I go, are you kidding me? Not right then. This is earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go, Jesus, are you kidding me? And so now they're starting to let people out, and we're kind of in the middle. So when it's our turn to go out, we get out, go to the left, and the doors on the left-hand side, entry onto the gangway.
Yeah.
And I look up, and on a TriStar, there's bathrooms in a kind of a V form, and then the pilots are here through this hallway door down the thing, and these are the multiple restrooms because big plane.
Yeah.
So my wife walks out first. I just decide to look back, and they're in a headlock with a big knife against the guy's throat. They were holding. He was threatening to kill this guy unless the pilots took off, and he was going to South America and forced refuel or some kind of whatever. So the knife blade was all the way across, like it'd be like this,
Yeah.
big knife across his throat. And I looked at him. There was the flight attendant that spilled the drink on me, and there was the guy with the red hair holding him with the knife on him. I went, when he saw me take my foot to leave, he goes, stop, you stop. I went, yeah, right. And I just walked on out. And then the person froze and stopped back there. So I go, good God, that was those people. We get out, and here's all the cameras are set up by now. I mean, it's all TV cameras, everything. And I'm walking out, and I'm quasi dressed like rock, in a band.
Yeah.
I hear some guy scream, that's Greg Giuffria, whoosh. And so some news person comes, can you talk to us for just a moment? And so they said, what's happening? What's going on there? I said, well, this guy's got this giant knife on the guy's throat, and he's holding him. About that time, I get pinched on the other shoulder from like a security it wasn't TSA, but some kind of security guy. It spins me around and says, sir, you're emotionally kind of stressed out right now, and please come with us. Come on, because he heard what I said. They weren't telling people out there what was going on in the plane.
Okay.
So they walk me home and they go, you're very upset. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not upset at all. And they go, well, you're not seeing, you probably don't have everything till you calm down and what you witnessed and all that. So then I'm standing there, and now they diffuse the situation. A guy's on a podium. They already got set up, and he's saying, well, yes, we had a passenger had an emotional issue and blah, 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 threatened that there was a bomb on board, by the way, too. And so he said, but we retrieved the knife, and he held up this little, have you ever seen these miniature Le Pen knives, and you can open them up and there's a little tiny blade that's about an inch long?
Yep.
He goes, we have the knife that he was holding. And I looked at the guy. I go, that's not the knife he was holding. I said, the knife he was holding had a blunt back blade, approximately 8-9 inches long, and a handle. And there was a brownish black end of the handle I could see. And I said, it was this long and it was cut blunt. He goes, no, that's not what you saw. You saw this. I said, you have got to, seriously, that's the story you guys are going to go with? I said, that was a huge knife.
Right.
So that gets all organized. We get I think we left the next day, or I think we ended up leaving the next day.
Okay.
I get to that, I go to see the guy, the record company, and you won't believe this, what they said. There was a picture in the LA Times and, attempted hijack and this and that. You could probably look it up.
Yeah.
And the president of the record company looks at me and goes, wow, what if he held the knife on you? Imagine how much publicity we would have gotten.
Yeah.
I said, are you kidding me? So that was what it was like. They would have been happy if I was the guy with the knife on my throat.
What flight was that? Or I'm just because I
I
want
want to say it's Delta Flight 4.
Okay.
Sometime in 80, it would have had to have been 85, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
But definitely in LA Times, because that's where they, the story was out, and the news footage, all the TV stations in Dallas were on it.
Yeah. Do you know what happened with the hijacker or what, what
Turned out this is even more weird. Life is really strange. He was going there because he had his wife or something he married in Colombia or some country that they wanted to get there. But he cleaned sailboats. When you do the varnish on the sailboats, you have to do it all the time.
Oh.
He was a painter, varnish on sailboats on my wife's sister's friend's sailboat. So it was actually my wife's sister, Dale, and her friend. He worked on their boat
Oh, really?
as the varnish guy. He redid the
Okay.
varnish. Who knows? This stuff is so interconnected in the planet that it's just, there's like multiple matrices of people and stuff, and they're connected some kind of way. You run into them. They're just.
I mean, obviously he must have gotten arrested or,
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he attempted
Right.
hijacking, threatening, bringing a plane down, holding a knife, even though it looked like they were talking about a fingernail knife. But why would he do you really think he was holding it with his thumb and his index finger and he was going, I wouldn't have been able to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's hilarious. But anyway, they didn't
That's
want to cause it.
amazing. Amazing.
And then I went back to that. So the record, by that time, I'm so frustrated. I'm just going, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure you've been told a million times, like, have you ever thought about writing a book or?
yeah, I'm going to.
Okay. Okay.
Well, music, I need a couple more people to die before I can write the book. The music business was funny, buddy, back then.
Yeah. Right.
We used to have to pay breakage. I go, well, what's this percentage on the contract? What do you mean 7% or what, 4%? Just come. Oh, it's when they put the boxes in the trucks, they drop them and they break the albums. And that wasn't breakage. That was somebody getting paid,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I want to do, so the first album did very well, right? I mean, were you sat like,
What, Jaffria?
yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had fun. We went up, we went to Japan. We out on 2 great tours. We were picked and selected because at the timing, Call to the Heart was good. And
Massive.
And so Deep Purple, their management, put us on the Deep Purple reunion tour.
Yes.
The first corporately sponsored rock tour pre-sold out on all shows.
Right.
In big arenas. We played 16,000, 20,000, big ones.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Wait,
I had issues with Richie Blackmore, but that's life.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. And then we went out on Foreigner. We did
Foreigner. That's right.
I remember telling Mick and Ron, I said, fuck you guys. God bless. He goes, I said, I got one hit song. I'm trying to place it in the set right. And you guys play 14 songs and they're all number one.
Right.
They would just laugh at me and say, I was a huge Foreigner fan. I just thought
Totally.
just Mick, Mick and Lou Graham, uh, absolute geniuses,
Yeah.
absolute songwriting genius.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
all you can say. I mean, that's all you can say about him.
Yeah.
Just
I'll just ask, since you brought up Foreigner, what do you think about what's going on with Foreigner now with, you know, no original members?
uh, I like this interview because you're going to make me say things that you'll probably play, and
And I'm not trying to.
no, I know that.
Okay.
Well, first of all, Mick ended up, I guess, has the name or whatever, and so really it was an extension of his music.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, and it uses the name,
Yeah.
and guys are making money and paid, and but don't ever think that you're hearing Foreigner, the
Right.
real band. Don't ever confuse and think that the singer sounds, like Lou Graham or something like that, because he doesn't.
Right.
And then I just had these pet peeves. I have a really major pet peeve that bothers me.
Okay.
The true rock stars don't ask the audience to applaud and don't do this, like wave their hands, or like you finish your solo or something, and you go like this, come
Yeah.
on, or I just did this. They don't do that. You've never seen David Bowie, Mick Jagger, Rod Stewart say, come on, do. And I even told a few friends of mine, I said, I won't say who they are. I go, you don't need to do that. That's not, you don't look, you aren't the part. If you're playing a part, you're a musician and then you're a performer. Those are two different things.
Yep.
Some bands don't care about the performance side, the show side, the playing side.
Yep.
I mean, and you have Steely Dan's and there's tons of groups that just musicianship, and we took brutal abuse from Frank Zappa because, song, Punky's Whips and always abuse, all in fun. All that stuff is in fun.
Yep.
So, but there's a difference, like you might like some of Alice Cooper's music, or you might like his show and whatever. But I guess I was cut from the same cloth that why not go ahead and put on a show, or do something,
Yes.
do your best and have some fun with it and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And then that whole genre, everything took off. I mean, the early days of watching Pink Floyd or Yes or somebody, everybody's busy playing hard parts. You can't really drink a bottle of Jack Daniels and play a Yes song.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the two different worlds of
Yeah.
all of that stuff. The Sunset Strip thing was in all genres and in all twists or deviations. They're not deviations. They're niche segments in the music.
Yep.
You might not like that, but true talent kind of floats to the top. It always emerges kind of out.
Right.
Like I was a big fan of hip hop and stuff when it came out because that was a social statement set to a sampled beat
Yep.
with a point to get across about something. Well and good, it's fine. But wow, look who emerged out of that, both white or black guys, Eminem and Drake and Jay-Z. There are goofy, super talented people that emerged out of that stuff. You can't hold that back.
Right.
And then I saw a really fun interview that I think it was Jay-Z or Dr. Dre or one of them. The interviewer asked him, well, who was your biggest influence? And he said, the Beatles. I like the Beatles. And it stunned the guy asking the question. He goes, what?
Right. Right.
So the genres cross-reference, the grunge stuff, whatever. But then again, certain bands. Another band that I don't understand, Pearl Jam, that didn't resonate with me.
No. Yeah.
That singer was kind of goofy.
Same. Same.
But anyway, these are my opinions. So
Yeah.
they're famous. They've sold a lot of records, A
Yeah.
lot of people like them. It's just everybody has their own opinions. You
Yeah.
know, I got
I,
mine.
I love hearing it, and thanks for sharing them. Uh,
Yeah,
you must have felt good though, like after the first album. I mean,
felt great. Felt great. But then I contacted, I guess, LSD, lead singer disease, where I find a lead singer and laying in a mud puddle somewhere over wherever, put him in a band, and then the next record they want to write everything, do everything, produce everything, and you know.
okay,
So that started kind of on Jaffria.
with
Yeah,
David.
a little bit, yeah. It
Okay.
started to drift a little bit, and then the second record was such a heartbreak to me that and that's when um Gene and I were and Gene's I consider my friend, you
Yeah.
know, and and talked to him about it, and he said I played him some stuff, and he goes, you know, wow, let's do this, let's try this out.
Okay.
And I remember him coming up with some names, and I didn't care whether I did it with my name or not because I had that, and I can always go back to that, which is what I'm doing now. I have
Yeah.
a new record coming out in the future here. Well, and so Gene goes, well, what about House of Lords or Crown of Thorns? I go, no, I don't like Crown of Thorns. You know, I'm a Christian guy, and you know, Gene's Orthodox. I said, no, Crown of Thorns is too close to religious stuff and all that, you know, just in case I want to go up there and not be explaining, calling the band Crown of Thorns.
Right. Right.
Just, and so we went with House of Lords.
Okay.
And that was neat. You know, the songs that I was writing, and then David and I, and then I started Rick Nielsen and Robin Zander and I started writing together a lot during that time frame too. I want to say uh, that would have been some of that stuff. Yeah, there was a merge of stuff on the little demo tape thing that FNN put out.
Yep.
That's that deal. Yeah. And I
Two of
got
these songs end
contacted.
up
I
on.
got contacted after this idea was all put together by, other people,
Okay.
uh, the FNA.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they said, "Do you have any problem doing that?" I said, "No." David Glenn Isley didn't call me, didn't say a word, put out the lost tapes, didn't have my input on how they were mixed or, mastered or treated. Didn't even call me and tell me he was doing it, which is shocking because I don't put out demos. You know, no one really does, unless they're dead or they're people. But I was very disappointed in that.
Okay.
And so then I said, I said, well, don't put it out yet. Give me the tracks and give me the stuff and let me, because we have extrapolation ability. We can stem stuff out. We can remix it. We can remaster. There's programs and equipment now that can stretch, alter, do frequency shifting and just, try to improve the sound a little bit.
Okay. Okay. So you were, I didn't know, but you were involved in remastering this and
Uh-huh.
okay, because
Because
I
I own those songs. Because I paid the studio time and I paid Andy Johns. Uh, so technically I'm the client, me,
yeah.
Richard.
So I
But we would have used them and could have used them in that situation, but they didn't pay for Andy or the
right,
studio.
right.
So
And I
that's just
told
more of a technicality. And I didn't say a thing to David about it. I didn't
yeah,
say I was disappointed that he handled it like that, but
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
It's
I
like Angel using the Angel name right now. It's not Angel. It's
right,
there's a band out there called Angel, but it is not Angel. It is, I wish that they could say that or denote that a little bit because it's not even remotely close. It's,
Right. So have
two guys in it and 4 or 5 other ones. I don't know. It's a crowd of people up there.
have you reached out about that
Oh,
or
I talked to him. Yeah, I talked to Frank the other day, and
okay.
you know, uh, Frank was funny. He goes, "God, Greg, you're so opinionated and stuff. You should always be proud of what you do." I said, "I am. I am proud, but I also didn't think it out clearly enough when I said go ahead and use the name. But anyway,
Sure. Sure. Okay. Okay.
they're having fun. They're having fun and making noise and music
Do
and I'll always be like a brother to Punky and Frank and the guys and Barry. I mean, literally, that was those formative years, and we had that kind of success and all that fun, and they're a part of your life for the rest of your life.
absolutely.
So I'm not angry or anything. I just wish it was. I wish it was more representative of the first and second record, what they're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
I'm sure they ask you to be involved, I would guess. Is that just something that you're not?
Yeah, no, they did. Punky did, but um, you know that I wasn't in that frame of mind at that
Sure.
point, and I couldn't envision putting on the white clothes again and going out like that.
Yeah.
The Angel, as with any band, as with Foreigner, the best way for me to say it in the most truthful, respectful, and appreciative way, and this applies to all the bands, to me, we were a moment in time. And if you look at the universe, time and space, speed, time and space, which, time is connected to space and it's all the same thing. And we were that during that time frame.
Yeah.
They are what they are now in this time frame. They're not the same.
Right. Right.
This new, I'm struggling with whether I call this record Jaffria or Greg Giuffria, just yeah, it is Jaffria because I would write the majority of the songs, and David and I would write together. But I had fun writing with Cheap Trick. We wrote some songs. I got songs on their records, and Rick co-wrote "Slip of the Tongue" with me.
Up the first House of Lords album, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And you had, Mike
On
Trent.
Lap of Luxury, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Rick and I've known each other since the Angel was 76, 75, just about.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's another musical genius. He really is. Even though with the funny hat and the clothes and the 5-neck guitar,
yeah.
he's an extraordinary musician.
Yes.
He should be famous for what, let me word this right, not what he doesn't play, but how he plays his parts and how distinct and every different he is. And I'd say Robin Zander's maybe the most underrated singer in rock music,
Yeah.
without doubt.
Yeah.
I've written songs with him. Spent a lot of time with him, and he's once again gifted musical genius. Those two.
I love Cheap Trick. And those guys in the 2000s have put out some amazing albums still.
They're extraordinary. But we all go through this thing about songs and songwriting. I remember in the studio, Rick and Robin really didn't want to do that song, The Flame, when they were doing Lap of Luxury. I don't know if they've ever talked about it. I think they did probably. I went down to the studio a bunch of times, but they didn't want to do it. And I think I heard it. I went, you got to be kidding me. This song is phenomenal. This is great. Oh, shut up, Greg. You don't know anything. You know. I, I remember when I told Rick I was thinking about doing another Jaffria record. He goes, "Why?" Yeah, I mean, we have that. Rick and we have the greatest sense of humor, and Tom Peterson too. I can't leave out Tommy.
Yeah.
They're just super talented. I mean, who has a bass sound like that? He has the best, one of the greatest bass sounds compared to up there with Chris Squire or
Yeah.
Geddy Lee. Phenomenal.
And I thought I heard Tom Peterson say once, though, he goes, like, I can't go jam with other bands. I only know Cheap Trick songs. Like, he just has his own thing. But
Yeah. Well, a lot. Yeah. I somehow I got on some kind of Tonight Show or some kind of TV show once, and Quinn was filling in. And anyway, Meatloaf and I are on it. And then all of a sudden, I'm up there playing Beatles songs or something. We did an impromptu deal on that. I hate that stuff. Can I fake it and do it? And if I don't know the song, sometimes I can, but it depends on, nobody's going to get up and fake a Yes song or something. So,
true, true. Um,
and then I'm leaving out one bass player who's my bass player on the new album is Tony Franklin.
oh, you got the fretless monster.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's one of these super talent. He's on so many records that you don't know about, never will. And, you know, Ken Mary is playing drums. And he was in House of Lords.
That's right. That's right.
Um, uh, the guitar player, which I'm going to say is beyond underestimated, is Paul Crook, Meatloaf's guitar player.
That's,
Yeah, he did that Queen thing. He's really good friends with Brian May, and he's doing all the guitars. Um, and then my singer, well, he's doing records with me. He's in another band, but it's a full-time other band. But he got the okay. He could sing some songs with me. Is Dean Castronova.
oh, no way.
Yeah,
Oh my God. From Journey.
yeah.
Geez, sorry.
No, Dean is one of the. I'm very fortunate to have these guys on my side. Dean is a rarity, an anomaly, much like Don Henley is.
Yeah.
If you listen to Hotel California and Don Henley can play the drums and sing that,
Amazing.
uh, superhuman talents.
Yeah.
Dean can sing the entire set of the Journey concert and play the drums at the same time.
Yes.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
And if he wants to flip the switch where he really sounds like Steve Perry, he can do it. His natural voice has similarities naturally, not him trying to. There's a bunch of tribute bands out there that do Journey stuff. Guys cut their hair like Steve Perry and all this stuff. I'm going, God, and kind of can sing up in that range, and try to emulate certain vocal things that Steve started, did, and inherent to him.
Yeah.
Steve Perry is a good God. I mean, what a voice. I mean, seriously. I mean, and Jonathan Cain, what a talent too. I mean, original Journey, Greg, all those guys. We played with Journey, in the original Journey. No, Angel, I believe it was Angel. We opened for them in their hometown. We played Cow Palace at San Francisco with Journey,
Right.
and Neil Schon, super. I mean, these people are super talented.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And then, but when Dean came in, I don't like to talk about any other band's business or whatever happens and who did what, all that stuff. But Dean can do the same thing. He can sing and play drums at the same time. As disconnected, it's like two people are up there. One's playing the drums and one's singing, and it's the same body, and it's mind-boggling,
Yeah.
you know, to me. So I can't wait for you to hear the new stuff. It's
When are we?
without doubt the best, some of the best stuff I've ever written. I mean, I'm doing full orchestras on blended with the music. And I'm playing all the parts, all the orchestra parts, the
Yeah.
samples, much like what Hans Zimmer does with the stuff. And he takes his in, does the LA Philharmonic or the orchestra do that. I
Sure.
did that on, I did that stuff on the House of Lords record. And we used the John Williams Orchestra, which is a hand-selected selection of the LA Philharmonic that he
Yeah.
uses for the movies, and um, real orchestra. But the recordings are so good now, the samples are so good that you'd be hard pressed to record it any better than what they are.
Yeah.
Some of the human playing articulations can't be replicated exactly, so you'll never take away a real orchestra.
Right.
But for me to blend it as a hybrid, and then there's a company called Spitfire, which I use their stuff, and some other companies out there that have spent millions of dollars recording these people.
Yeah.
And so I'm playing mandolin on the record. I'm playing obviously all the different synthesizers and all that stuff. But
What kind of direction, or could you even
well, let's say
say?
that, gosh, I always hate the comparisons. You know, people go, what do they sound like? Oh,
Right.
they sound like Motley Crue, but with a touch of yes. I go, oh, well, that's unusual. And, you know, so you mix stuff up. But I would say, you're going to go see a movie that Hans Zimmer did the soundtrack on, but there's a rock band that's influenced by Emerson and like this. So it's kind of like being in the movies and then there's a rock song playing while you're watching the movie
Right. Okay.
with the soundtrack going on. So yeah, heavy, lot of strings,
Okay.
lot of cellos, a lot of um, bringing back my Moog 3C sound and um, choirs. Wow, some weird stuff.
When do you think
Some
it's
of the
gonna be?
songs are 11 minutes long, 10
Oh,
minutes, 11 minutes.
wow. Okay.
There's there's no quote. Well, there could be. It's going to be 10 or 11 songs, four styles. So
Okay.
two or three songs in each style.
Sure.
So there's the songs that will be heavy keyboards and, you know, the stuff like Do Me Right or ripping kind of stuff.
Yep.
And then there's my love for the 80s rock hit songs, Journey, Foreigner, stuff like that, you know, the songs we did on the radio,
Yeah.
a couple of those. Um, some unusual, strange songs that move. There's no verse or chorus. There's vocals in it, but it's not necessarily a verse or a chorus.
Sure.
Um, there's some that morph into half the song ends like you're at a movie listening to a soundtrack. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's different.
When do you think we're
I hope to have it out in the next few months. You know,
okay?
we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, finishing. I got two more. Dean Dean has two or three more songs to finish the vocals on, and you know, I had to work around COVID, Journey tours, you know, and um, all my guys do other things.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. I think Dean Castronovo has one of the greatest voices I've ever heard. It's amazing. So
He's unreal. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's just unreal.
speaking of singers, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. And you did mention there was maybe some conflict with David on the second Jaffria album. Was it Gene or what happened with David not being brought to House of Lords?
Well, there were some colliding things. No, David and I were getting along. I think he was as frustrated as I was on the second record, but it wasn't, there was something wrong. There was something off. It just was off. The kind of where some of the studios we picked to record it, I trying to blame everything, but I guess I'm the one playing, and I didn't. I am going to blame the producer for not creating an environment that made sense,
Okay.
or knowing enough about what we're talking about engineering wise to communicate with the engineering, and no real true concept of frequency stacking and the stuff that for me as an electronic musician and a keyboardist and a piano player and an organ player, and using guitars, there's no way you can throw all that stuff in a mix and throw it up at the same volume and same frequencies because they're just mush.
Yeah.
So you have to mix by a thing called frequency stacking, and this guy didn't have any idea about that. So it was frustrating. So then Gene was opinionated about it. I'm not, once again, I wasn't there to argue with him, or he has a keen ear, man. He has he even though, Kiss was energized. They were like, one of those pulsars coming out of some section of the universe. In the 70s, if you went to a Kiss show and heard them in a smaller venue, in a smaller situation, you were in shock awe because of the pyro back then. They loaded the mortars too much all the time. The velocity and force that they played those songs, Black Diamond, dude. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah.
It was absolutely insanity. It was great. So, and Gene's had his fingers in a bunch of people's almost careers. One Gene story in case he ever sees this.
Please.
So, it's funny how people remember some things and forget, but sometimes you're telling a story, you can't go into every detail. But I said, Gene, include me on some of the details sometimes. So I stopped by the Whiskey to see this band from Australia. First time over here. I think David Krebs brought him over or something. It was AC/DC. I said, Jesus, these guys are great. But I said, fuck. I go up to the dressing room with it, upstairs, and Angus Young goes, well, you think we're going to, his accent was so hard to understand when they were first there. You think they're going to like us in America? I said, fuck, you're going to do great, And so didn't really have much contact with him after that, but I called Gene up. I said, you got to come down. I can't. I'm at dinner. I'm doing this. I said, no, come down and hear this band at the Whiskey. I'll be there. I'll meet you there. Oh, don't think I'm going to come. I said, I'll be there at 10 o'clock. Just Christ's sake, show up. So he came down. So when I heard him tell the story, he goes, yes, I discovered kind of basically AC/DC at the Whiskey. He didn't say I twisted his arm to come down there. But, and he put him, Kiss could make or break a band, or they could launch a group.
Right.
You get on a Kiss show, you open to get on a spot on it, whether it's opening or second, special guests or whatever.
Yep.
You've got a pathway. If you're good and you deliver, you're going to do well.
Totally.
I mean, that's how big they were.
Totally.
Or are.
Did Jaffria open for Kiss?
No, we never.
Did House of Lords didn't either?
Huh?
Did House of Lords?
No.
How come I thought you?
We never around. We weren't.
Okay.
We were on. I don't. No, we never.
Okay.
Never did. I don't know if there was room enough on stage for my keyboards and all of Gene's stuff.
Right. Right.
No, I never complained about it. I never said anything. Whatever reasons we weren't packaged the right way, or we doing, Gene had a very clear idea, I think, of how he wanted to set the mood before they went on stage. Because it's called, it's conditioning. You know, if you're in charge of the environment, the sound in the room, what songs are you playing before your set starts, you know, before you go on stage, how you can ease people into the anticipation of the headliner coming on. And certain bands that were like Cheap Trick was a good opening act for because they were so different.
Yeah.
Um, you know, compared to them.
Yep.
And some of their other just guitar, bass, and drum singer bands that they would have out.
Yeah.
And then also Jane's management and the guys, you know, I mean, Doc McGee, another genius in his field,
Yep.
knew how to get the bands that were up and coming and getting more ticket sales and help that band and also help their show. So Gene and Paul, and can't leave Paul out. Paul is equally into this, you know, the dynamics of all this stuff.
Right.
And me knowing in the beginning, knowing Peter and Ace and stuff and being around because we're on the same label and all that. But then later on, the super nice guys, Kulik and then
Yeah.
Tommy Thayer lives 900 feet from me. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Tommy might be one of the nicest human beings on the planet. He and Eric Singer. Oh, they might have been, you know, Gene must have put on the list when he's looking for replacements. I need somebody that is a hell of a guitar player and a nice person.
Right.
Because both of those guys are that.
Sure.
So, and you know, they're friends.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So, but he just drew the line in the sand on it with David.
Okay.
David, I was a little disappointed that David was, once again, I'm separating it. Is David a great singer? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is his stage presence and everything? I didn't like the David Lee Roth look, the same exact pants, the no shirt, and you know, that was not what I was really wanting to go into.
Okay.
I wanted to go into musicianships with a touch of show.
Yeah.
So that's why House of Lords with the lineup when Doug Aldrich, you know,
Yep.
I had a lot of problems with some guitar players on. I invited a lot of guitar players, dear friends, and super good to go. And Pilitary and Mitch Perry and all those guys are phenomenal. Just you know, Dave Mustaine never played on it, but he was his buddy. You know,
Really?
he liked Angel. He would come to the shows. It was cool.
Sure.
Those guys are all super talented, but the defining difference, you know, Lanny Cordolo's style was just a little too far out. Now I mix up Jaffria and House of Lords blends
Sure.
together sometimes because
Sure.
I see a linear line on progression and different members
Yes.
and the same kind of
Yes.
thing. That makes sense.
Yes.
So, Lanny came in on the second Jaffria, right? Because Craig went to Dio.
On the second Giuffria and then stayed on House of Lords.
And but Gene did draw the line in the sand on that on the deal. And then I think Chuck introduced me to some guy never been in I'd been in a band, but I don't know who or what. And he was from back east, from Boston or Connecticut or some New Haven, I think, Connecticut.
Right.
And I heard him. I went, wow, great voice. With no knowledge that he was completely a different person. I mean, he acted the part that he was participating and being part of, but just waiting for the right time to just, I don't know, be disruptive.
James
So,
Christian.
yeah, uh, that was, and then had some guy named Michael Guy that I hired, it seemed like just for a few days to take, because Doug Aldridge had left to go Whitesnake or somebody. I think it was Whitesnake.
Okay.
Coverdale had asked him.
Okay.
And I said, well, we need to have five of us in this pictures and to do this video. And I was going to put him on the record. He claims he's all over the record and playing, but he's not. He should really study his parts because that's not him.
Okay.
That's Doug Aldridge. And I was looking for somebody to just be in the picture and be in the video. He turned out to be disruptive,
Okay.
but because that didn't work.
That
But
was happening on the first album.
huh?
That's happening
No,
on the first House of Lords album.
no, that would be
Sahara.
no, I'm trying to think if yeah, that's Sahara, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and uh House of Lord Lanny would have been in first House of Lords
Yep.
records, I think.
Yep.
And then Doug is playing all the guitars on that's Doug on the solos and on Can't Find My Way Home.
Okay.
You know, always wanted to do that song, and
It's great. I mean, I
I
love
got
that.
him. I got a message to Steve Winwood about I was going to redo it and try not to screw it up. So, but anyway, that was that. I really enjoyed that.
Right. So was everything good on the first album? The first House of Lords? Did you feel like the recording of the
Yeah,
got
it
along?
was exciting, but I'd already written David and I'd written a lot of those songs were on the first House of Lords record. The songs on this new, the demo tape.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of the recording is there, but tweaked a little bit, and then so they're near mixes, and I don't think we used the exact mixes. We didn't. Some of it wasn't recorded, but used and altered or replaced. Vocals were taken out, the new vocals were on, so there was stuff that was changed on that.
What-
And that was Andy Johns again on that, I think.
Was was there a big problem like when David was told that he wasn't moving forward with you was
Yeah, not a big problem. I think it was sure wasn't a fun thing to do or go through.
sure.
I had no animosity, no, it was more, and Gene's a big guy. He made the decision. Gene is not afraid. If he makes a decision, he's not afraid I made that decision.
Right.
Did I fight him on it? No.
Right. Okay.
First time I've ever said that in an interview. And
Okay.
I don't know. What are you doing? Like hypnotizing me to tell the truth on I'm not show glamming it over and
Sure.
soft walking it. But David, I would imagine that was impactful. But once again, David Glenn Isley is a walking band by himself.
Right.
He really does not he plays drums, sings, plays keyboards, plays guitar, plays bass, plays harmonica. Um, he actually could do a record by himself if he ever just sat down and did it.
Right.
He's that good on all the instruments.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Have you guys spoken over the years since you and David?
I talked to him about doing a record in right at the top of COVID.
Okay.
But I don't know how else to say this. We had a conversation, and I said one sentence, and he was politically compromised.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
He went actually, he became extremely upset and agitated, and I just said, I can't deal with this. And okay.
Over
So
politics? Okay.
over his feelings,
Sure.
either which way.
Sure.
That, you know,
I get you.
and I couldn't understand it,
Yeah.
and I didn't. People are free for their whatever they want to believe,
Absolutely.
but if you make it where it affects your life or livelihood or your music or anything like that, that it wasn't because I didn't. He didn't want to work with me, and I felt that I wouldn't be able to work with him, not because of that, but because he wouldn't be himself. He wouldn't be able to, I don't think, focus 100% on the music.
Sure.
I think that's the best way to say it.
Sure.
Because he's super, and rightly so. He shouldn't. He should do his solo stuff.
Yeah.
He just shouldn't do his solo stuff with all my songs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll feel this new release is not, he co-wrote songs with me on it. I don't have to put his name on. He didn't put my name on his record, so I don't have to put his name or face on it.
Right. On the first House of Lords, did you like if my research is right, did you tour some with Cheap Trick and Ozzy?
Oh God, yeah. We did a European tour with Ozzy. Yeah. See, I have to understand. I've known Ozzy quite a while on stuff. I used to send when he'd be auditioning guitar players. If I'd hear a great one, I'd call up Sharon and say, "Hey, you ought to go and let this guy do an audition." Okay, I'll tell you a guy I sent over there, and he blew it himself. I don't. And if you know the guy, he blew the opportunity with Ozzy.
Okay.
Set up in a rehearsal hall, and they came down. Ozzy came down, and it was Mark Tureen. Do you know Mark?
Yeah. From Mark
Bullet
from Bullet
Boys.
Boys? Yeah.
Yeah, he got the audition. I said, "This guy can really." Mark was a player. I mean, guitar player for real.
Yeah.
But he wanted to be a lead singer.
Yeah.
But he's a hell of a guitar player.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard him play.
I have.
I mean, and so they liked him at first. And then I don't know what he did or what happened after that, but he didn't get the job. But, and then Quiet Riot, Angel put Quiet Riot on their early shows. We let them play, and get seen, and had the same management company.
Mhm.
David Joseph and Warren Etner, and so they were, and I knew all those guys real well. I liked all of them.
Is that back in the Randy Rhoads years?
Oh yeah. Randy was just sweetheart, a real nice guy. And Rudy's great. Rudy is a nice person, and I'm talking about spiritually inside. They're really good people.
Right.
And then Ozzy used to just kill me. He just cracked me up constantly. I just can't even tell you how that the stories. It's just hilarious, And Sharon, I absolutely adore her and respect her. I mean, she's like, don't ever mess with her. Good Lord. I could tell you stories in Germany that you would swear, Greg, you are making that up. I'll go, no, I've seen her just take down guys twice her size, just, with whatever object she has in her hand. But oh God, I saw her one time. If you think Don Rickles could be rough on somebody, I heard her dress down a promoter one time. I was with her. I was standing right next to her. And I didn't like the guy. I thought he was up to some kind of funny business with the shows or whatever. I don't want somebody to give them enough information they could piece this together, but
Sure.
Sharon let loose on this guy. And I swear today, this is what, that 30 years ago or something that took place, 40. I'm sure he wakes up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and a nightmare felt that Sharon was at the side of the bed talking to him. That's how relentless it was.
Right.
I
Right.
can't even call the words on the streaming or cable, but it was hilarious.
Right.
So yeah, I had a lot of fun on that. They're great.
Sure.
I had fun on all the tours. Every tour, just about, the people that I met, I had fun on. I just had trouble with Richie Blackmore. That was the only one that was annoying.
I mean, can you,
No, just telling us not to play, telling Goldie can't play guitar solo, not giving the lights the right way. But all that was corrected. My
okay,
management was so powerful that
sure.
they made a phone call, and the next thing I know, they were real nice.
Okay.
But they when Mick Jones and Lou Gramm offered us to go on the Foreigner tour, I said, "When can we go? I
Yeah.
mean, leave now." I
Right.
don't think we left the Deep Purple tour, but it was literally within the next few days that it was starting.
Sure.
And I wanted to leave when I found out.
Yeah.
I'd have just left, but you don't do that.
Yeah.
So.
And Foreigner was one of the biggest bands in the world at the time
And
anyway.
it was at the time where all the songs, huge shows we did with them. It's
Right.
huge. I
Don't you
mean,
got, I mean, I feel like Jaffria, I mean, you guys fit right into Foreigner and Night Ranger and everything that was happening.
yeah, it just that, I don't know how to even, I don't know how to even say it. The second record just didn't deliver.
I thought I Must Be Dreaming was fantastic.
Yeah, that was good, but that was good. We just didn't write it, but that's okay. That's all right. It just, I always tell people my career has been like kind of a football player on a football team,
Yeah.
and it's a winning team. But I'm not the quarterback. I'm not the main guy. I'm just a guy somewhere in the line or somewhere and in the business, and then has a little bit of a hit. And then you go two records, you have another little bit of a hit. It keeps you in the business, but you have to have one hit after the other, after the other, after the other with full exposure.
Right.
So yeah, no MTV? Would that have been nice with Angel? Yeah, but that wasn't the reason.
Right.
That would have helped us, but we would have had to pay attention to the music like we did on the first two records.
Sure.
I tried to go back to that with Jaffria.
Yeah.
I tried to do that with the first House of Lords record, second House of Lords record.
What do you remember about the second, like
Oh,
after the
Sahara.
first one? Was
The
Gene
first
still
one was kind of written because it was being written in between,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And that first House of Lords record, the way I look at it, that was a lot of flexing because those musicians are all really good.
Yeah.
I mean, and the second record, Doug Aldridge came in. Everybody was accomplished on their
Yes.
instrument. So
Yes.
it wasn't like there was a weak spot
Yeah.
on there. But got to have still great songs. You could play a load of crap and powerfully, but if it's not, it's a delicate balance between all that. Trying to think when we were auditioning, what where were we at on getting the guitars? I know that I was auditioned. Oh no, Doug's stuff was done. When Doug left, we were still in the mixing and still end of recording and some mixing at A&M Studios. This is a funny story. So I had guitar players coming in like every 30 minutes, play. Some would leave in 5 minutes, some would play a little longer. And after 2 days or so, I was losing my mind. So Peter Frampton was in the next studio over. So I said, Peter, please just sit here and just let a few go. I'm leaving for just a little while. No, he goes, no, I'm not doing that. The last thing Peter wants to do is sit there and listen to guitar players trying
Yeah.
to shred or do whatever that they're doing.
Right.
And I said, please, I just sit and listen, see if you hear anybody good. He did it for a while, and then I think he just left. I came back. I don't know. I don't even think he wanted to talk to me after that for a while, but it was funny.
Right.
You know, that's another guy. What a nice human being and a great guy. I mean, and a cornerstone in rock.
Yeah.
Cornerstone. You know, these guys, there's cornerstones out there. Um, then you get guys like Eric Clapton, and I think at one point Eric Clapton was a great guitar player. Cream.
Yeah.
Um, he was in Blind Faith.
Yeah.
That's not Steve Winwood, but and then I don't know what took place afterwards. I'm not, you know, I couldn't tell you really anything. His name shouldn't be mentioned in the same breath as Jeff Beck, but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
He's famous. He's famous.
Is it like, I mean, he went through a big addiction period? Is that something?
I don't know. I don't know him. I mean, I I don't think oh yeah, I have. I've met him.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. He accidentally he came in, oh my God, if I remember correctly, that same trip, after Kiss had left town, we played Kobo, and for some reason, Clapton was at the hotel too. And in the restaurant up top, Barry started a food fight in the restaurant, even with other customers. And I remember throwing a thing of mashed potatoes that was kind of solid. And I threw it, and it went by the front door right when Eric walked in. It got him on the side of the head. And so, yeah, so
Okay.
it was horrible the way we acted when we were younger. We could never be, TSA wouldn't, or the pilot, not like today where, you know, they land the plane and take people off. They would have just shot us in the air.
Yeah.
He was throwing the hot towels across the first class and fighting, and then customers getting into it and everybody
Right.
turning into pandemonium.
Right.
I remember we took, you know who Barry Levine is, the famous photographer?
The photographer.
He was on the flight. I think that he went with us to Japan, or anyway, we were on a flight, first class.
Yeah.
We held him down and stuffed all of the magazines that was in first class in his clothes and shirt and underwear, and he was bloated out like this. You know, it's terrible stuff we did.
Terrible stuff we did.
It's
Do you miss it?
no, the memories are wonderful. It was fun. But to answer your question, James Christian became unbearable
Okay.
to me, and when I don't like something, I just kind of dissipate from it. And I decided that when I'm trying to think when Can't Find My Home came out.
Wasn't that on the Sahara album in 1990? Or are you trying to?
Yeah, but then we did that would have been. But then when did Demons Down come out?
92.
92. So I was coming off of And Demon's Down was right after Sahara, I think,
Yep.
right? That was the third record.
Yep.
Um, and that's when I just was fed up. And that record, those Demons Down, that album, the songs were just not up to par. You know,
Okay.
James Christian had too much trying to influence or input, and he had brought in this guy, a friend of his, to writing songs that was just it was just dreadful. And then proved itself out. He carried that whole style of music. I guess he's got 15 or so records out with House of Lords. He's been making House of Lords records around the clock.
How did he get control of the name?
That guitar player I told you about that I hired to do a video and
Yep.
potentially play on a few tracks, let him play on it, but that was later erased. He somehow filed copyrights, from what I understand, and then tried to threaten to sue Gene or me or something and got the name. And if I remember this thing, I talked to Gene. I go, I don't care. I don't fool with it. And I think Gene just said whatever. I don't remember how. Gene doesn't. He's he's not a litigating kind of
Yeah.
person. Not really. I mean, he will if he has to, but
Right.
he's got the muscle to do anything that he wants. But it just wasn't something that we wanted to, deal with some
Sure.
irrational kind of concept of, there's complexities in all the trademarks and copyrights and taking a band name. Actually, Angel utilized this. The trademark or copyright went dormant or abandoned, and they got that. But I was still going to say use the name or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I heard through the grapevine that Italian record company that has all those bands that do those songs that sound similar.
Frontiers?
Yeah. I heard that James did some deal with them. They own the name for a couple of records. I'm not sure, but I shouldn't even make a comment because I don't know.
Sure.
Frontiers sure did some positive stuff as far as opening up opportunities for a lot of bands that wouldn't necessarily, or anybody, get into the American market or the big label market.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So their guy that owns that company took a very clever approach and gave the opportunity to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So commend them on that.
Yeah. I was gonna say Can't Find My Way Home was a decent sized hit on Sahara, right?
It went higher than the original one did.
Right?
Yeah. If I remember correctly, it went up to number 17 on the charts.
Yeah.
And then it went to number 2 on the AOR charts.
Right.
Remember, that was the tail end you had different charts. You could have pop rock or melodic rock or hard rock or alternative. Well, they had the different names, but AOR music.
Yeah.
And there was one of the charts by the people that put those out. But it sure played a lot. I would hear it all the time. And I think it's one of the great songs.
Amazing.
It's been written, tell you the truth.
I thought Remember My Name was a great ballad on that album.
Yeah. That was utilizing string things and played in such a way that I did too. Funny story. I don't know if you put 2 and 2 together or know a little bit about Remember My Name, but the guy that co-wrote it. So when it came time to do the video, did you see the video?
I've seen it. It's been a while now, but I know the video.
So we were looking at different directors or people that could do that. And so this company presented this stuff, and I believe he had made commercials, TV commercials. Okay.
Okay.
And I remember saying some of the scenes I came up with, like say, I wish we could have this, or I wish you could have the sand coming up through the hands coming up through the sand and grabbing the guy in a nightmare scene.
Yeah.
And I like to see the camera going low, fast across terrain and moving up and then busting through a picture or something, having things happen, edits instead of hard edits, have it flash into something and then you're in the next edit.
Yeah.
So years later, I go to a movie and I could find out when this, but we got to the movie late, my son and I. And the movie's called Armageddon. Armageddon with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, wow, look at some of those scenes and look how the explosive scene cuts. And I said, we did a idea like that, similar cinematography thing in this video, and stuff. And at the end of the credits, I go, oh my God, Michael Bay did that. Michael Bay did Remember My Name.
That's shit.
How about that?
Wow.
That was his first
That's right.
rock band. And we gave him he had a big, huge budget to do that back then. I mean, astronomical amount for back then. Today's money, it would be million something.
Right.
But
wow.
That was him.
Dang. I remember hearing that he had done some music videos that completely.
He did Remember My Name. And one of the girls on the little turning thing in the video is some really famous actress right now. I forget who she is, but you would know if you saw the video. She's a big actress.
Yeah.
Current. Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No. So, it's Hollywood. You're in the thick of it, in the middle of it.
Is it on Sahara? Is that where the tensions start on the second album in 1990, or do you notice them on the first album?
Yeah, no. It started on Sahara a little bit, just. And I got to blame myself in case some of the other members say this.
Sure.
If it doesn't feel right to me, was a little difficult, I guess would be. And then if things don't seem like that there's some control to the chaos, then I get a little sideways.
Sure.
And then I think that James is I said, I don't find you in a mud puddle and then put you on a record, and then the next record you planning on writing everything and doing everything. That's not how it works.
Right.
Especially if we had a nice opening on House of Lords. That first record was well received.
Yes.
Absolutely. People liked it. And then playing live, the band was such a force when we did the touring with Doug in the band.
Yeah.
Good Lord, that was just a force of nature.
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing.
I don't know if you saw us live.
I never did. I'm in Fargo, North Dakota. I don't know.
Okay.
That you ever made it around here.
We got up. Missoula, Montana. I think I know I played there.
Right.
But that'd have been with Angel, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
You walking Charlie out again?
Yeah, Charlie's got to. Sorry.
Well, and then unless you have more questions, if I could talk a little bit about the new stuff.
No, and absolutely. I just. The last thing I was going to ask was just when did you know that it was over for House of Lords?
the Demons Down thing just really that that was really I'd gone over, we'd switched labels and stuff, and I'm pretty sure uh, um, gosh dang, Victory Records, Phil
Yep.
Carson. So I knew Phil Carson,
Yep.
and so I took a couple of songs over to Phil's place in Palm Springs, and he goes, "Wow, let's do this. Let's try to get this going." But by that point, I don't know. It was I was everything was different.
Sure.
You know, by that point, MTV had converted
Yep.
completely, and
Grunge had just started.
yeah, well, hip hop had taken a 91 or 92 was when they shut off rock music completely, if
Yeah.
I'm correct.
Yeah.
Do you know the date exact? It's very close. It's right at that time, I believe.
Well, I
Is when
know.
they
I
pulled
know.
the plug on all rock music. It was midnight on a night, a completely different style of music started being played.
Yeah.
So so yeah, so I would have quit. I was quit then. We were on RCA. I know that I called Rick Davis and said, "I'm quitting. I'm not making another record." He goes, "What do you mean? You can't go to another label. You have those two more." I said, "No, no, you don't understand. Not going to the studio, not playing the keyboards. Not. I'm done. I'm done." He goes, "You having a nervous breakdown?" I go, "No." He goes, "Take 2 weeks off or something, or go somewhere and rest." And well, during that 2 weeks, uh, the management or I did notified Fox Entertainment that I was cutting all my hair off and putting an Armani suit on. So they came out, they filmed it. It was on Fox.
Wow.
Yeah, and famous hair cutting guy chopped through my hair with a $4,000 pair of scissors, he said, and all this stuff. And boom, there I was, the new image and new look.
Right. Right. Okay.
And it was funny that I decided I should get a job and do something different. And because just it was brand new, it was just no hair and a suit.
Yeah.
So some people in the movie industry wanted me to talk to a famous movie producer.
Okay.
So I went down to meet for a meeting at 20th Century Fox. It was set up, and go in and met with this guy. He turned out super famous guy, Roger Birnbaum. Yeah. So he's done all your favorite movies that you watch.
Sure.
Tons of movies.
Right.
I mean, shocking movies. You'll look in the credits and go, he produced that? Oh my God. So Birnbaum is his
Birnbaum.
name.
Okay.
And it wasn't that I wasn't really young enough to start as down. You really have to work your way up through that, unless you walk in the door and you say, "Here, I have $10 million. I want to put into some movies." And then, "Oh, sure. What title would you like?" And you know that kind of deal. Um, but he made some great movies, and then I think at the time he was running Morgan Creek Films.
Okay.
They did tons of movies. But anyway, so then I immediately at the same, I think the next week I cook I'm with Paulson and them talking about what the future, and then moved to Palm Springs, and that's when I made the decision. I was sitting at dinner at my son's godfather's place, this guy Bill McComas in Palm Desert.
Yep.
We're having dinner and sitting at the table with Alan Paulson and his wife Madeline Paulson, Baron Hilton, and the senior, not the younger.
Yep.
Baron Hilton and Alex Spanos, that owns San Diego Chart, Baron and Allen, Dennis Washington, he's worth 14 billion. He owned Washington Construction on C-SPAN, and he invented, when you fly an airplane, you see the little winglets that go up on the end of the planes. He invented that. That's
no way.
That's his patent. He owns one of the largest shipping container companies. He's there. And to my left is Lee Iacocca and his wife, and April and myself. And I'm sitting there going, who? And I got the long hair, because I've known all these people since the early 80s.
Yeah.
So I go, who else in America? These are your friends. They're the icons in American business. Icons, cornerstone icons, not just, oh, well, they have a successful business.
Right.
Owns Gulfstream. Flying private air flight wouldn't be the same today without Bill Lear and Alan Paulson.
Right.
Simple as that.
Right.
Lee Iacocca, cars, borrowed $1 billion from the government and paid it back.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
So I said, when am I ever going to, I'm not a rap artist. I'm not going to be in that whole world. And more power to them. Time for me to try something new. And I did. I ended up running Alan's, Lee Iacocca's companies for almost 5 years until I broke out on my own and built Hard Rock. The casino in Mississippi.
And didn't you invent something with slot machines?
I acquired a company that was upside down. Basically, the story is, Iacocca had me looking at Defense Department patents that were coming out of the patent DOD or Defense Department for going into the public sector, going to be released.
Yep.
Their possible use or whatever in whatever weapons, communications, or whatever it is. Then the civilian sector could then say, oh, wow, I can do this and build this device or use them, utilization of technology.
Yeah.
So I'm going through stuff and not coming from that department, but I found this company called Summit Systems that Howard Hughes, the Howard Hughes, had started with this other guy. And they had hired a Swedish guy, and he filed a patent for the business kind of that I went into, the technology or mathematics or the structure of probability in gaming devices.
Yeah.
Specifically probability containment fields.
Right.
And a containment can be as simple as you walk up to a blackjack table and there's 7 seats there, and this is a $10 table with a max of 100 or a max of 500. Mm-hmm. So that is the raw definition of a containment. So 7 people can play at the same time off of this deck, but you can only bet this much, so you're limited in what damage you could do. And with the house average, calculations can be done by 7 people playing for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Will produce X.
Yeah.
But in the slot machine business, it was different. All slot machines, the wheels on the position on the wheel, and I'm using elementary definitions of all this with no factoring or deviations or anything in it. So if you have one wheel stripe that's circular and there's 20 position and you have one winning symbol on each wheel, there's 3 wheels.
Yeah.
Well, that's 20 to the third or 1 in 8,000 odds to hit the jackpot. You can't give away $20 million on 1 in 8,000 odds.
Right.
Okay. You look at lottery numbers or 1 in 300 million, you have a better chance of getting hit by lightning twice than to win the lottery. So just to give you the depth of that.
Right.
So anyway, I acquired that company.
Okay. Okay.
And turned out the other company had only gotten a sub-license, so I had control of that patent. Megabucks was there. And so the concept of Megabucks is that you could win $30 million on it.
Yeah.
But they used, when you take 256 to the third, okay, your number's 16,777,216. So you got a much bigger number. And that built Vegas. Vegas wouldn't be built on $500 jackpots.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Those big hotels, all that stuff, really, the virtual universe, the pay tables and the probability structures using that were the key element.
Was do you find do you get the same rush in the music world that you get when you have success in the business?
Oh no, I thought I was going to a world where you had more control because you may have the CEO title or president title. Hell, I was on the board of directors with Lee Iacocca and Alan Paulson. I remember somebody asking me, well, where'd you get your MBA from? I said, from the street, from Iacocca. Spend one day with him and you'll get a vertical learning curve on finance and Paulson. And I said, doesn't take long to learn instantly.
Right. Right.
So anyway,
we can
the new stuff though.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Well,
I'm probably going to call it Jaffria, but
okay.
I'm excited about it, and as soon as we do some more final mixes, it's not mastered. I have a rough, some roughs that I do sometimes.
Okay.
If you want to, you have my email address. If you want to send me your cell phone or whatever, and I can send it through Messenger, actually, where it shows up and you can just download the file, but just don't play it for anybody unless
that would be awesome.
Something like that. But I'll send you two of them out of the four genres of stuff.
Okay.
One song is called Arc, A-R-C.
Okay.
And the other song is called Clouds. I name my songs from now on single words.
Okay.
That have a acronym, not an acronym, but what's a name or a group of words that then make you think of something, and then that's a single word. What's that called? It's not. Is it an acronym? It's not an acronym.
No,
anyway, it gives you the end solution is a single word.
Okay.
So the ARC is the one that's keyboard orchestra stuff, and the Clouds is another one and both of those are unique in the sense that they have a continuous sequence running through them, a pattern.
Okay. That
you hear it moves in and out, and it's there, and the music is written syncopated against the sequence. And then sometimes it falls in and sometimes it falls out against it's crazy complex stuff that sounds so simple. But if you listen real deep, you'll go, whoa, what is that?
Right.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I'm taking my time on it because I don't care. I don't have a record company telling me what to do or anything.
How long has this project been in the works?
Oh, I've dabbled with it since toward COVID-ish. I was talking or thinking about it. Then I didn't really engage in it till more like 22, so 2.5 years.
Right.
I got to hurry up. Ken Mary told me the other day, hurry up before our fan base all passes away. Where I said, you're right, Ken. But I'd like your honest opinion, what you think. It's not meant to sound, it's not meant to be like everything else, nor was it deliberately done that way to try to be, because you can't do that in music. It's actually real. It's actually real what I feel, what's coming, what I'm, a lot of the songs I've written, both the lyrics, the music and the lyrics. I had help on lyrics, Jeff Scott Soto wrote, Jeff
Yeah,
Scott. Yeah, he's another super talented guy.
yeah, he
He,
is.
yeah, energetic, great work ethic. He wrote lyrics on Arc, and then Tony Franklin wrote the lyrics on Cloud. So both
Really?
of them, yeah. I wanted those guys to do things that, for Tony, that he normally doesn't get to do.
Yeah.
He's actually a lot of depth. He has a lot of depth on everything. And then Dean really hasn't written any lyrics or any songs, but I'm making him make an attempt
Okay.
to and see what he thinks about it.
Sure.
And just see. It's funny as you get a little older and the things that you think you couldn't do, you can do.
Yeah.
You know, uh, I just don't want to be labeled as, well, he thought he could, but he shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know.
What like do you have an idea of who's gonna put this out or what the plan is?
Um, no, Tommy Thayer was trying to convince me. He's saying, do it yourself. Just do it. I think I'm going to have something that's going to be interesting to some people, hopefully. Hopefully. Never know. If they're not, I'll go home and I'll listen to it, and I like it.
I mean, it sounds phenomenal. You have Dean Castronovo on vocals. He's amazing. And there are so many fans, I'm pretty tuned into this music through this channel and through my radio show. So many people talk about House of Lords, Jaffria, and what and like I said, I emailed you haven't done a lot of interviews. So number one, thank you so much for coming on and talking about all of this stuff. But I think there's a lot of people excited to hear what you're up to.
I became, after 92, because of all the changes in the music and the heartbreak of how things were going at the end of that. I was lost, but now I'm found. So I'm back. So when the COVID thing went knee deep, I'm in the house, and um, there's some things I don't understand. I don't understand how my playing can be better now than it was at the height of my career. I don't get that. Dexterity and playing ability.
Right.
And then um, I'm understanding. I've always had quantum leaps, as I said before. All musicians go through quantum leaps. They may go 5 years and they're kind of just playing this way stuck, and then something happens in the instrument, your playing ability, your definition, your quirk or your style enhances, and you take a quantum jump.
Yeah.
And then you could be, I've been playing piano since I was 4 years old, and I had the most significant quantum jump on when I look at a keyboard. It's so strange. I no longer see a wrong note. Or if you're playing, I'm no longer limited by just looking at it and saying, oh, well, I have to pay this chord structure because of this. Because in movie scoring and scoring, there is no wrong note.
Yeah.
There is, and I do it sometimes at a party or something, and I said, play any notes you want. I said, play a cluster, play two right next to each other. It sounds horrible when you're playing by themselves. And I'll write a whole piece of music around the two pieces of note. I do that all the time. Play a 5-note melody and let me just write. And then I don't know what happened. It's just that it looks different. The keyboard looked different for me starting in COVID. I sat down, played it, and it was just one thing after the other came out. So, as Bill Murray would say in Caddyshack, so I got that going for me.
Yeah. Oh,
But I'm having fun. And I know that all the guys I asked to do this are deep into their career lives and careers and playing. Dean is with Journey. Paul is doing Neverland Express, the Meatloaf touring show. He has the guy from America's Got Talent, Caleb.
yep.
That guy Caleb, that singer, that I don't know his last name. I'll
I
blank
don't.
on.
I know who you're talking about.
You think you're looking at Meatloaf? He's a big guy and
Right.
incredible friggin' voice, just
Right.
nails it. He does that and doing solo stuff, and then uh, Tony is playing with Lou Graham. He's been out on with Lou.
Yep.
He is also on, like I said, a lot of people's records, and without a doubt, he may be for our generation and our guy. He's without a doubt one of the best bass players in the world.
Oh,
Just without a doubt. I mean,
totally.
I know he's been influenced and was friends with Jaco Pastori, and he passed away. And so Tony, the fretless, when he plays the fretless, it's flawless.
So we might hear the new Giuffria, which is what you're probably going to call it, before the end of the year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll be. But like I said, Tommy was saying do it myself,
Yep.
but I might not. I may, that's a lot of headache to do all that.
Right.
I don't know. Gosh, I know this little thing that Doc put out.
Yep.
Sold out in a day or something.
Yes.
The same afternoon or something.
Yeah, sold out the first pressing. I mean, the thing only just came out like a week ago or something.
Yeah,
Or-
but he called me the next morning and said, "I don't have any more. All the orders are done. There's a few more." He scraped together a few more, and he sent. So I guess they put together a few more, and those went, and all the vinyl went the first hour. He said that's
Yeah.
all. So that's interesting. That's encouraging. But for your listeners on this, this is one of my first interviews I've done talking about all this. Forgive the long-winded answers on stuff, but I appreciate everything. And all my fans gave me a wonderful life of excitement and being able to do the music. And for just one person for some of the stuff to have an effect on or mean something, that means a lot. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm such I was, Angel was a little bit before my time. I've gone back and listened to Angel, but I was a monster Jaffria and House of Lords fan, and so to have you come on and do this, like I said, I know you don't do many interviews. It's just been an honor to have you on, and I know we were kind of talking about this, but I'm excited to hear the new Jaffria album, and I would love to hear any rough mixes, and if you would like to come on when that comes on,
Oh, sure.
comes out, and maybe
One other thing I forgot to just talk about, Andy Johns passed away in, was it 2015? I think so. 2015, say on the 2013 or 2015. But Andy was a big part of my life. A true genius. His older brother, Glenn, did the Who and Stones, and Andy was on the set. Andy was at the sessions. Andy was there during some big records, but he bringing tea to the guys. I think he was on the Beatles sessions at the Abbey Road. But Andy mixed Stairway to Heaven. So, to have a resume as an engineer, you only really need, I guess, just one. You could just put one song down and say,
yeah.
well, what's your experience, sir? I did mix Stairway to Heaven and did that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that qualifies, doesn't it?
You're good. I think you're good.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you have any desire to do live stuff?
I don't know. I thought Bob Ezrin told me not too long ago. He says, "Greg, you ought to like get one of the theaters here in Las Vegas and do the show with this stuff. This sounds. You have to be in a controlled event. A controlled sound system event. It would have to be kind of this. Has got to sound better." Mixed 22.4 or something, movie theater speakers, sorry, not Atmos, but kind of like an immersive around you,
Yeah.
and you're kind of big.
Yeah.
But and then the low end that has to take place. Still, unfortunately, there's very few concerts that really the band can sound like they do on the record.
Right.
I think Pink Floyd's probably the only ones. Anyway, chop it where you need to,
Yep.
if you will.
Yeah, and I mean, this was so far beyond what I it's amazing. So I can't thank you enough, truly. And truly, you are invited if you, like I said, when the
Oh,
album
no, no,
comes
no.
out.
You're the first person I've talked to about this. I'm trying to think if I've done any other interviews. I don't think so. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking, so I can get your
Oh,
age?
I'm 52.
52. Okay. I can kind of see musically what, you know, just, you know,
I would have been
that's
about 12 when the first Jaffria album came out.
wow.
Yeah.
And I did my first album 13 years before you were born.
Yeah.
Well, it's an honor, and you asked great questions and
Thank
and
you.
everything. That was cool.
All right. Thank you so much, Greg, man. It was amazing. I really do appreciate it.
Great. I did too. I enjoyed it.
All
Plus,
right.
I was testing a lot of things out on you, how I'll tell story, how I'll tell a story, how I'll segue, how I'll make it make sense. So I'm using you to polish up doing some interviews.
I
It's been
love
a
it.
while.
I love it. All
Hey,
right.
take care.
Hey, you
Be
take care of
safe.
yourself. We'll talk. We'll chat again. Thank you.
Yes, yes, sir. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.